Welcome on in, folks, to the DVB Insurance broadcast booth here on the road tonight in Lincoln, California. Alon Desai, Austin Oda on the call tonight. I'll have the first three. Austin will have the middle three innings, and then yours truly will be on for the last three. The Crawdads taking on the Lincoln Potters. The Crawdads right now in second place in the CCL North, but only by half a game against these very same Potters that they will be seeing tonight. The Crawdads come in on a two-game losing streak. Their last victory, an 11-2 big blowout of Healdsburg. But since then, they've dropped a couple of games and dropped their first game after the All-Star break, the showcase break down there in Compton, California. The Crawdads did send 6 different players. Coleman Schmidt, he's playing tonight. He'll be in center field for the Crawdads. He was one of the big highlights for the Crawdads down at that game. He's just been so productive. Hollis Fanning, one of the pitchers that the Crawdads sent down, besides Gabe Tanner, the other pitcher, he'll be the starter tonight for the Crawdads. So we'll see the one-eyed bandit on the mound for the Dads. But both teams come in after a couple of losses. It's been a little tough for Lincoln. They dropped a very, very close game in Sonoma last night, losing 2-1. But they're going to send out their ace on the mound this evening, and Anthony Perez, who's just been stellar this year. He's 5-0 with a ERA, get this, folks, an ERA below 1. He comes in with an ERA at 0.27. So he's making his 7th start, his 7th appearance overall, and he has just been lights out for the Potters. But the Crawdads, who are trying to secure this second-place position here in the standings towards the end of the season, only 8 more guaranteed games, including this one to go. A possible makeup game with Healdsburg later in the season. That game was originally scheduled about a month ago, but some scheduling conflicts made it so they could not play in Healdsburg. So the Crawdads might have a makeup game with the Healdsburg Prune Packers, and you figure that would be in Healdsburg because that's where the game was originally scheduled. But that game will only be played, at least from what we know so far, that's only played if either team needs it to get to the playoffs. Otherwise, they will not play each other. They'll just save some time and go straight to San Luis Obispo. But right now, just a tentative half-game lead over the Lincoln Potters, who, before the All-Star break, were really just coming on strong and making up a lot of ground, especially with the Crawdads just really slumping in their last 10 games, 2-8 in the last 10 overall, 3-7 in their last 10 in-division games. So the Crawdads are going to try to right the ship here today. Manager Brant Cummings looking for answers. He does have his stopper on the mound tonight in Hollis Fanning, so they'll be looking to get a good start out of him. But it's going to be incumbent upon this offense to produce some runs. Yesterday, only able to get 3 against Solano, ended up losing. And that was a rough game because the Crawdads, they kept fighting back in that game. They got a very good start out of Ryan Fleming, who was able to strike quite a few men out. But Kavares Tears was robbed of a 3-run home run at the fence, the left field wall, by Michael Benavidez of the Mudcats, who just had a phenomenal day. He robbed Kavares Tears of an opposite field home run at Monte Vista in Danville yesterday. He also hit a home run on the very first pitch of the game to left field. So he was great out there for the Mudcats, who are also still hanging in there. They're in 4th place, but 7 games back of first place Healdsburg, but just a game and a half back of the Crawdads. So the Crawdads, with a record of 20-17 overall and 13-12 in conference, I mean, it's right there for the taking. They know this. They did not make the playoffs last year. They're trying to make the playoffs this year, but they're going to have to fight hard against a tough Lincoln team that they've lost 2 in a row to on Monday this past week. They lost 8-5, and then, of course, the big blowout here at McBean Stadium against the Potters on July the 4th, Independence Day, where the Potters are undefeated. They really put it on the Crawdads. So the Crawdads just trying to find some answers and some positivity here at the end of the season with a chance at the playoffs still right in front of them. They're trying to get their ticket punched to San Luis Obispo. So we'll see what they can do tonight. The starting lineups for the Crawdads: Coleman Schmidt in center is batting leadoff. Tyson Corio, the switch-hitting second baseman, batting second. Ryan Ellis is the shortstop tonight, not at third. He's batting third. Kavares Tears DHing once again. He's batting cleanup. Brian DeRoff at first seems to be completely healthy now from that hand injury he had where he took a fastball in on the hands. He's batting fifth. Joey Donnelly, the left fielder, batting 6th. Jack Ben-Shoshan, good to see him out there in the outfield. He's in right, and he'll be batting 7th. Zach Tajero doing the catching tonight, not Andrew McKenna. So Tajero behind the plate. He's batting 8th. And Joe Barnhart over at 3rd. This will be the second time this summer that we've seen Barnhart over at 3rd base. And Hollis Fanning on the mound, 1 and 2 with a 2.94 ERA, a great prospect that the Crawdads were able to lure over to Danville this summer, so we'll see what he can do against a good and hungry Potters lineup. For them, it's Jared Breedwell. This is only his 4th game that he'll be appearing in for the Potters, but he's hitting a healthy .417. He's a designated hitter, and he's leading off. Zach Chamizo, we've seen him before the shortstop, batting 2nd. JT Walden, a mainstay, over at 1st, batting 3rd. Trey Furry, he's over at 3rd, batting 4th, so good thing for Furry. He's fully healthy after having some back issues. He's not DHing tonight. He is in the infield, so that's good to see. Garrett Crenshaw, the right fielder, batting 5th. Nolan McCarthy, the center fielder, batting 6th. Batting 7th is Jeffrey David, not in center field. He's over at 2nd. Cole Tremaine, the left fielder, batting 8th. And Nick Poss, the catcher, who's going to be playing in his 9th game tonight for the Potters, batting 9th. They have, as we mentioned, Anthony Perez on the mound, so a very tough test for these Crawdads. First pitch scheduled right around 6:35. It's 6:36 right now. Looks like the players are just getting out on the field. The Potters playing in their classic home whites. And it looks like the national anthem is about to be boomed through the stadium here. We'll carry that for you, and we'll be back with first pitch here on the Crawdads streaming network.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove your hats as Mia Andrade performs our national anthem.
National anthem in the books. Players are getting ready to play this ball game, a very important one for both teams, both vying for that second spot in the CCL North to make it to the playoffs. So a lot of chips on the table tonight. There's one more game after this evening for the Crawdads against the Lincoln Potters. That will also be here at McBean. So far coming into this matchup, the Crawdads and the Potters, they've played 6 times. They've split, so 3 wins apiece for each side. We will see who is victorious tonight. Perez, the righty, on the mound for the Potters. And a Crawdads lineup who has had some exceptional hitters over the past week, especially Tyson Corio. A grand slam really helps things out for him, but Ryan Ellis has been hot as a pistol. But, I mean, and Kavaris Tears, who had a big home run yesterday, but they're still looking for answers, especially from that bottom part of the order, the bottom third. So it's going to be really important for Jack Ben-Shoshan, Zach Tajero, and Joe Barnhart to be able to give some production there, whether it's getting on base with a walk or maybe a little bloop. And we know with this artificial turf here on the infield and then the natural grass out there on the outfield that some weird bounces can happen here. So maybe the Crawdads get a little bit of luck on the road in Lincoln. So the Crawdads with an overall record of 20-17, 13-12 in CCL North play, trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. The last time they had a pretty big losing streak, one that was up around 4 games, they were able to come here on the road in Lincoln and snap that losing streak, and that's when that 7-game winning streak for the Crawdads began about a month ago. So it seems like a long time ago, but it was only about 3.5 weeks when the Crawdads were the hottest team in the CCL and really giving everybody a run for their money, but the wheels have kind of fallen off here recently, and they're just trying to get back on track. And the Potters on the other side, 28-17 overall. 12-12, so an even 500 in CCL North play. Looks like Perez is done with his warm-up pitches, and we're going to get started just a little behind schedule here, but not a big deal. A good crowd here tonight at McBean Stadium in Lincoln, California. Stadium holds about 2,500. I say we're getting pretty close to capacity tonight. It looks like a pretty good crowd. They got the beer garden up and the tents. It's I believe it's a cider Saturday, actually. It's a cider Saturday here, so $3 ciders for all these fans and a lot of fun activities for all the young patrons in attendance as well. Also got some great tacos going here at the ballpark, so it's going to be a good day, you would hope, for everybody in attendance and the Crawdads. And the first pitch to Coleman Schmidt is hit over to short to Shimizu, who tries to make a throw on the run over to first, but it's dropped by Walden. So Coleman Schmidt sees the first pitch at 6:41 p.m., and he's able to get on. We'll see how that is scored. It was a play that you'd think would have been dug out by the first baseman over there, Walden, but he was not able to get it. Took a kind of a tough skip, and that's an E3. So Schmidt on base. Schmidt comes in hitting .345, 9 home runs, 32 RBIs. Got to watch out for him to steal a bag as well, as he has 14 on the season. Here's Tyson Corio, the switch hitting second baseman against the righty Perez. First pitch to Corio, that's in there for a strike. The count 0-1. So Schmidt on base after an error from Walden. Top of the first inning here, just getting started. Crawdads on the road. The 0-1 pitch, and Corio hits this over to Walden, who scoops it up, fires over to Shimizu at second. They try to turn a double play, but not able to get it done. But they do get the out over at second, so the error is wiped away from J.T. Walden. A good job trying to get back over there by Perez to cover first base. But there's one away. Corio's hitting .255. He's now over at first. 3 home runs, 16 RBIs. Here's Ryan Ellis, the lefty shortstop, hitting .338, 4 home runs, 20 driven in. Good amount of lefties in the lineup tonight for the Dads, and going high up the ladder there was Perez, and swinging at it, foul tipping it into the backstop was Ryan Ellis. The count, no balls and a strike. Hot day today here in Lincoln. Probably be hot for most of this evening. 98 degrees at first pitch. Not much wind to speak of. Throw over to first. Back in safely is Corio, after hitting into a fielder's choice. The defense for the Potters: Nick Poss, the catcher, Walden over at first, David at second, Furry, the third baseman, Shimizu, the shortstop, as Ellis hits this over to the shifted infielder, David, who's just off of second, and they convert a double play. So 4-6-3 there. Ryan Ellis, the outfield, real quick for the Potters. Tremaine in left, McCarthy in center, Crenshaw in right. So a quick inning of work there for Anthony Perez, who's just been excellent. Comes in 5-0 with a 2.7 ERA. And the Crawdads are able to get a base runner on a couple of times, but that is it. So no hits yet for the Crawdads. It is still 0-0. Bottom of the first coming up when we return here on the Crawdads Streaming Network. Bottom of the first here on the road. Alon to say with you. Crawdads not able to score in the top of the first, so 0-0. Hollis Fanning, our first look at him this evening. Fanning comes in 1-2. A win and 2 losses for Hollis, but a 2.94 ERA. He has been a workhorse for the Crawdads. This will be his 5th start, 8th appearance overall, 36 2/3 innings pitched, 28 strikeouts and just 3 walks. Has given up 34 hits, but 34 hits and 3 walks and just about 37 innings. So that's a base runner an inning, but it's great when it's just a few bloops or maybe a single up the box and he's not putting guys on with the free pass. One of the things that Hollis has been so good at this summer is just pounding the strike zone. Had a chance to talk to him this afternoon before the ball game, and I asked him, I just flat out, I said, what do you think the strike-to-ball ratio is going to be for you tonight, Hollis? And he said, somewhere between 3 and 4 to 1. He said, sometimes I do have to throw a few balls just to get some hitters off balance, but I like to stay in the strike zone. So the righty from Tennessee going to get ready to see his first batter tonight. It is Jared Breedwell, who's appearing in his 4th game for the Potters, hitting .417. No home runs, no RBIs, just 12 at-bats so far. Oh, it was a quick top of the first for Perez. Fanning trying to do the same. He kicks and deals. The first pitch that Fanning delivers misses a bit in the count 1-0. The 1-0 pitch from Hollis. Here it is. And this is chopped on the ground over to the second baseman, Corio. Makes an easy flip over to Duroff at first for out number 1. So 2 pitches and an out there for Hollis Fanning. That's a positive start. Fanning, not a huge strikeout guy, but he was able to get 9 in his last start. This is the first time that Hollis not only has faced the Potters, but it's the first time that he's pitched at McBean. Hollis is pretty good at rolling up some ground balls and inducing some weak contact, but we know how this infield plays here. So here is Zach Chamizo, the lefty, takes a hack at the first pitch he sees and flares it into left center. That'll be a 1-out base knock for Zach Chamizo, who's hitting a healthy .356 with 8 driven in, and now he's over at first. Got to watch out for Chamizo and his speed. He does have 8 stolen bases this season. So able to get into the hit column first are the home team Potters. And here's J.T. Walden, who committed an error in the top of the first. He's hitting .345, 4 home runs, 17 driven in. First pitch to Walden. He takes a big healthy cut and comes up empty. The count 0-1. After Walden, Furry on deck, Crenshaw in the hole. Nolan McCarthy batting 6, David the 7 hitter, Tremaine the 8th man, Ross the number 9 hitter, and here's a steal attempt, and the throw goes all the way into the outfield. That's what we mentioned with Chamizo. He can show off that speed. That's his 9th swiped bag of the season. The count 1-1. Already a runner in scoring position for the Potters here early. If you remember, the Potters really jumped all over the Crawdads on that game on July the 4th here. Fireworks after the game, but a lot of fireworks during the game from the Potters offense. The pitch. This is hit hard into center. Going back on it is Schmidt at the track. He has it. He's going to try to throw back in. Tagging up is Chamizo. He'll end up at third. The ball is finally corralled by Barnhart, the third baseman, but there's 2 away. So a productive out there from Walden. And here comes Trey Furry, who's hitting .279, 3 home runs, 32 RBIs. He's at third tonight for the Potters. And they have a runner at third with 2 away. Fanning has been pretty good about managing runners on base. It hasn't been a huge issue for him this summer. That's why the ERA is below 3. Righty against righty, Fanning fires, misses outside. Looking for the pitch outside was Tejero, but it's a ball. The defense for the Crawdads, Tejero behind the plate, DeRoff over at first, Corey, the second baseman, Barnhart over at third in his second time this season for the Crawdads at third base, Ellis at short in the outfield from left to right, Donnelly, Schmidt, and Jack Ben Shoshan, and swung on and missed there. A good job to get a strike, and the count even 1-1. So that's the defense for the Dads. Over on third is Zach Chamizo, who was able to record his 9th stolen base earlier this half inning. It's still 0-0. The 1-1 pitch, and this is fouled back into the netting above the on-deck circle of the Potters. And the count 1-2. And this is what Hollis Fanning does. He gets ahead of guys. He pounds the strike zone. In a way, he's almost just forcing you to swing up there and hit the ball, but he's got such good stuff. The 1-2 pitch, and this is hit right back at Fanning, and that ends up in the right center. But Fanning was not able to stick the glove out and nab that one, and that's an RBI single for Trey Furry, and an early 1-0 lead now as Zachary Chamizo comes around to score from third. So a good bit of 2-out hitting there for the Potters. It's 1-0 Lincoln. That's the 33rd run driven in by Furry, who is now at first. And here's Garrett Crenshaw hitting .250, 2 home runs, 3 driven in. Pitch misses high and away, and the count 1-0. I usually don't say this about Fanning, but looks a little off so far in terms of finding the zone. Thrown 11 pitches, 7 of them strikes, 4 of them balls. Expect to see that get closer to that normal range for Fanning as the game goes on. The 1-0 pitch, and this misses outside. It's dropped by Tejero, but he's able to get to it. Make sure that Furry's not able to take off and run. The count 2-0. Well, it's rare that we see Fanning behind in the count. I mean, really to any hitter. But the Potters, they were on a heater before the All-Star break. And they want that second place spot just as bad as the Crawdads do. A pickoff move here from Fanning, a good spin and a throw over to first, but back in safely is Trey Furry. Crawdads have one more game after this against Lincoln this season. These games against Lincoln, all important. Starts tonight, 2-0 pitch, misses high, and the count 3-0. Haven't seen Fanning go to the curve yet, and now a ball that's thrown from Tejero over to Fanning on the mound gets off his glove. Now the Crawdads just look a little off. We've seen a ball kick away from Tejero, now that happening to Fanning, and I know it's just the bottom of the first, and it's a 1-0 game that Lincoln leads, but it's kind of evident that the Crawdads are still trying to find their footing here. The 3-0 pitch, and there's a fastball that finds the zone. And the count, 3 balls and a strike. Fanning has the fastball, the cutter, the curve. It's not a slider, it's a curve. He informed us about that. Also will pull the string with a changeup occasionally. The 3-1 pitch, and that nabs the zone as well, hitting the outside corner to the lefty Crenshaw. And the count runs full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. So runner at first, it's 1-0 Lincoln. Furry has his lead. The payoff pitch, and this is hit on the ground, and Barnhart cannot get there in time from third, and it ends up in left. There's going to be runners on the corners here for Lincoln. So a couple of 2-out knocks from the 4 and 5 hitters here consecutively for the Potters. And they have another runner in scoring position as Trey Furry's all the way to third. So here comes Nolan McCarthy, hitting .279, 5 home runs, 22 driven in, righty against righty. First pitch here to McCarthy, he checks on it, but an appeal down to first. First base umpire says he did not swing. The count 1-0. Pickoff move here from Fanning, and back in safe is Crenshaw. So far, the Potters with 3 hits this half inning. The 1-0 pitch, and that's in there on the inside black. Count 1-1. Some of the fans are not enthused with that call, but a strike nonetheless there. On deck after McCarthy, who's in the box now, is Jeffrey David. There's a lot of production in that 7 spot tonight for Lincoln, as this ball is hit foul down the right field line, and it lands in the beer garden. And the count now a ball and 2 strikes. Fanning trying to limit the damage here. Just trying to keep the Crawdads in a spot where they just need to get 1 back early. And the 1-2 pitch. And there's that curve, and just missing a little low is Fanning. And the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Taking second on a great pitch to run on was Crenshaw. A couple of bags swiped now for the Potters. They're aggressive early. The 2-2 pitch. Fanning looking for a strike, and he goes with a cutter high in the zone, way up there around the letters. And he strikes out Nolan McCarthy. McCarthy was not able to lay off. McCarthy's still a little angry about that strike call in the inner half of the plate, but Hollis Fanning does get out of the jam. However, the Crawdads do give up a run on 3 hits. The owner of the RBI, Trey Furry, able to drive in Zach Chamizo. So it is 1-0 Lincoln here after 1. Top of the second coming up when we return here on the Crawdads streaming network. Top of the second inning, along to say here with you for the first 3, and then the last 3. Austin Oda will have the middle innings, but the Potters with an early lead here, 1-0. Trey Furry able to collect his 33rd RBI of the season, driving in Zach Chamizo. Potters were able to get 3 hits in the last half inning and steal a couple of bases as well. So Hollis Fanning does give up a run early here, but Crawdads have been a good offensive team if you take the totality of the season into account, but been struggling lately here. It's going to be Kavares Tears, Brian DeRoff, and Joey Donnelly, 4, 5, and 6 for the Dads up to bat, who are wearing the charcoal grays, the dark graphite on top with the red trim and the gray pants on the road tonight. And the pitch from Perez, and this is chopped on the ground over to the second baseman, David, who's able to field and flip on to first, and plenty of time to get Tears. So Tears, 1 pitch, goes after it, and he bounces out. So for Kavares, who's hitting .247 and just had his 4th home run of the season yesterday, you'd like to see him get a little deeper into the at-bat, but with the strength that he has, if he sees a pitch he likes, the lefty's going to go after it. So here is Brian DeRoff hitting .317, 2 homers, 20 driven in. And the first pitch to DeRoff is a breaking ball right there. DeRoff lets it go by. The count 0-1. Been a little tough for DeRoff since he came back from the hand injury. Luckily, x-rays were negative. They didn't really show any damage as this pitch misses low and away. But he was already slumping a little bit before getting tagged on the hands in the batter's box. And coming back, hasn't quite found the groove yet, and there is a curve that misses. And the count 2-1. Boy, that curveball there from Perez maybe looked a little better than the first one. 2 balls and a strike to Duroff, and he takes here. Thought about pulling the trigger, but it's out. And the count 3 balls and a strike. This is the Brian Duroff that the Crawdads have been so used to. 11th pitch from Perez, who's been very effective so far, and it's a strike. And the count runs full. 1 away here. Top of the second. Crawdads down by a run. It's 1-0 Lincoln. The 3-2 pitch, and this misses up, and a good eye shown by Duroff. Able to draw the walk. That is Duroff's 17th walk of the season. He's now walked and struck out an even amount of times. And for the second straight inning, the Crawdads are able to get a runner over on first. And really one of the problems for the Dads ever since that trip to Southern California, with the exception of the blowout win against Healdsburg, that 11-2 victory, and a 19-3 victory against, or 16-3 victory, against the Mudcats. Driving in runs has been very tough. So here is the lefty, Joey Donnelly. Very powerful is Donnelly, and he hits the first pitch he sees right over to David, who makes a great pivot and throws to second for 1. They're only able to get the 1 out over at second to get the lead runner Duroff. But David, who we're so used to seeing in the outfield, is really making some nice plays out there at second. So 2 away here. That is the second fielder's choice that the Crawdads have batted into. Tyson Corio owning the other. So Donnelly now at first. Luckily that ball wasn't hit too hard, so not a double play that the Crawdads bat into. Here's Jack Ben-Shoshan, who swings at the first pitch and chops it foul over near the dugout of the Crawdads. The count 0-1. Jack Ben-Shoshan hitting .264, a home run, 8 RBIs. Keep wondering if we're going to see him pitch or not again this season, but haven't seen him on the mound in a while. Since that finger injury, the 0-1 pitch, this misses low and away, and the count even, a ball and a strike. Off of first is Donnelly. Crawdads played catch-up yesterday against the Mudcats. Ended up dropping a close game. And a pickoff move here from the righty Perez over to Walden at first, but not in time as Donnelly slides on that rough turf down there. Going to have some turf burns after that. A 1-1 here to Benshaw. The pitch, and Jack takes a big hack. And no dice there for Ben-Shoshan. So the count 1-2. Crawdads will be at home tomorrow at 12 p.m. An early game against the Healdsburg Prune Packers. They know every game matters here during this late stretch the rest of the season. This pitch misses outside. The count 2-2. Perez has been pretty economical so far through an inning and 2/3. Just 17 pitches, 11 strikes, 6 balls, so that's great for him. 2-2 pitch to Benshaw, and he hits this, gets into it, hits it high into left, but it'll hang up for the left fielder, Tremaine, who makes the catch, had to jog over. Looked like it may have found the gap there, but just a little too much air under it. And the Crawdads not able to score in the top of the second. They do leave Donnelly stranded over at first. No hits for the Crawdads. They do get a walk from Duroff and then the fielder's choice from Donnelly. Benshaw thought he had a chance there, especially in a park that plays pretty small, but caught out there by Tremaine. And the bottom of the second coming up here with Lincoln still ahead, 1-0. More baseball on the Crawdads Streaming Network when we return. Bottom of the second inning, 1-0 is the score. Lincoln currently in front of the Walnut Creek Crawdads, so the Potters have been pretty good so far. Perez has looked excellent. Fanning still looking to find his footing, has seeded a run, but expect he'll get in the zone, and we know he can really eat innings up. That's one of the things manager Brant Cummings loves so much about him. He just goes out there and he throws strikes, but could be a pitcher's duel tonight. Potters are going to come up to bat here in a moment. Just concluding some of the announcements here on what is just a beautiful day in Lincoln, California. Hot outside on the field, but nice and cool up here in the DVB Insurance broadcast booth on the road. Sitting next to my good friend Jordan, the statistician and social media, really the director of everything here for the Lincoln Pie. He does it all, wears a lot of hats. So it is Jeffrey, David getting into the box. 7, 8, and 9 for the Potters. David Coltremain, then Nick Poss. Just saw a race led out there on the infield from Piper, the mascot, as this pitch misses low. It's always so much fun to have here, especially if you got little ones with you. This pitch misses away. That's 2 more balls that Fanning has thrown. 23 pitches so far for Fanning, 13 of them strikes, 10 of them balls, and misses low here. Fanning falls behind to David. 3 balls and no strikes. David hitting .304, a home run, 17 driven in. Struck out 18 times, walked 9, has a chance for walk number 10. He takes a strike all the way here. Just a country fastball there from Fanning, and the count 3-1. One of the new additions that they've added here at McBean Stadium. Informed about this today. They have TrackMan as this pitch misses high and away. And David records his 10th walk of the season. Now each pitcher for the respective sides tonight has now walked a batter. That is only the 4th walk that Fanning has issued all season. So the speedy Jeffrey David, who leads the Potters in stolen bases with 12 of them, is over off of first. Here's Cole Tremaine, his 3rd game of the summer for the Potters, hitting .375. And a move over to first. It gets away from Duroff momentarily. He's able to track it down. I think David was more concerned about getting back on base than taking off and running, trying to get to second on what could have been calamity from the combination of Fanning on the mound and Duroff over at first. Well, nobody out and a 1-0 ball game that Lincoln leads. Another throw over to first, and maybe just putting that in the mind of David that, and they're going to call a balk. They're going to say that Fanning balked there on the pickoff move. He can't believe it. He looks back in frustration. And David will have second. So I think Fanning was just trying to make another throw over there to try to at least put in the mind of David that, I know the first throw was a little offline, but the second one's not going to be. Still waiting on the first pitch here is Tremaine. David in scoring position, kind of waving the hands off of second, now has a big lead, and the pitch and a big swing and a miss there. Good job going low and in there from Hollis Fanning. He's not going to be too concerned about the runner at second. Fanning, from what we've seen this season, he's very concerned about the man at the plate, and he figures if he can throw some good pitches, that's all that matters. This pitch in there, there's the cutter on the outside corner to the righty Tremaine, and the count 0-2. We've called Fanning the stopper for the Crawdads this season. Seems like whenever they need a good performance, he's able to give them one. Double take back to second from Fanning, and the righty fires. This is jammed foul. The count stays 0-2. Not really flashing over to second is Ellis. They got Corio playing deep in the hole on the right side. ender off pretty far off of first himself. Now, Ellis, the only man really close to David. Now he shows like he's coming into cover. And the 0-2 pitch. And this, another foul ball, this time into the netting. And still no balls and 2 strikes. Fanning sets and delivers and misses high. The count 1-2. I mentioned that we just installed TrackMan here at McBean Stadium, also the home of William Jessup baseball. And that's just a great piece of technology. Gives you all kinds of data and analytics. Be cool to see more CCL teams have that technology to go to. The 1-2 pitch. And this misses outside. And, of course, baseball is such a data-driven game nowadays. I mean, in some aspects, it's almost turning into golf. You get these guys in the swing facilities where they just hit, they motion cap everything, really break down the mechanics. It's pretty remarkable. David off of second and the 2-2 pitch. And instead, it's a fake back to second from Fanning, who's already balked once this inning. That one clearly just stepping off to look at second. Only 8 at-bats so far for Tremaine and the 2-2. And he's just staying alive here. A good job by Tremaine. Fanning tried sending a high heater by him, but able to tip it. It's Cole Tremaine. Couple of tough one-run losses for each team yesterday. Lincoln losing to Sonoma, the 2-2 pitch, and another foul ball. So we're going to see another pitch here. And a bit of a battle now. If it wasn't one before between Hollis Fanning and Cole Tremaine, it is now. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat. The good thing for Fanning, starting to pad the strike stat a little bit, although he's expending some effort here. Still no outs. David off of second. Not being held on, and now time is going to be called. Fanning took a few glances back to second, and finally, Tremaine said, to heck with this. I want to step out and let's redo this. So the 2-2 from Fanning, and this is looped into left. Coming in to field it is Donnelly. David not going to be sent home. A wild throw back in. But there's runners on the corners now for the Potters. Well, this is not the Hollis Fanning that we've been accustomed to so far. He's already allowed 4 hits and 5 base runners total. Oh, first and third, nobody out. Here's the number 9 hitter, Nick Poss. And if you're Hollis Fanning, you figure you got to go right after Poss, hitting 150. 8 games played so far for the Potters, 20 at-bats, an RBI, 5 strikeouts, and just 1 walk. First pitch to Poss, and he jams this. It'll land fair into right field, takes a hop into the glove of Ben Shoshan. But that's another run for the Potters, as that'll be just enough to get David home. That ball just kind of fisted out there. And it's 2-0 Potters. Now the second RBI collected this season by Nick Poss. And it is 2-0. An uphill battle here early in the bottom of the second for the Crawdads to deal with. Moving up to second on the play was Tremaine. And the lineup card turns over. Here's Breedwell. Bounced out 4-3 in his first at-bat. There's a off-speed pitch on the outer half. Count 0-1. Good job getting in the zone there by Fanning. Crawdads do not want to play a whole lot of catch-up today. 0-1 pitch. There's that curveball. It misses low and in. The count 1-1. Breedwell, the designated hitter tonight, playing in only his 4th game for the Potters as he hits this high and foul out of play. Count 1-2. Oh, I think the stand's just about full here tonight in Lincoln, so almost a full capacity crowd. Nice to see a big crowd at a CCL game. Beautiful evening for baseball. And the 1-2. This is foul tipped into home plate. Going to see another pitch here is Jared Breedwell. Fanning has thrown a lot of pitches through just an inning so far. He's up at 40 now. Fanning, used to seeing him be pretty economical. That has not been the case thus far tonight. You wonder how deep he can go. Manager Brant Cummings likes to get at least 4 out of his starters. Runners on first and second. And stepping off again is Fanning, and this is something we haven't seen him do often. Mentioned he's usually not too concerned about the runners on, but might have to worry about them now with nobody out. The 1-2 pitch, and there's that breaking ball, and punching out Breedwell looking. Possibly a low strike call there from the home plate ump, but it's a strikeout, and Fanning needed it. Fanning now has 30 strikeouts this season on the mound for the Crawdads, so a great number, gets one looking there. First strikeout he had tonight was against Nolan McCarthy. And here's the number 2 hitter, Zach Chamizo, who hit in the first, had a single, and eventually came around to score, was driven in by Trey Furry, also stole second. Pitch here to Chamizo, and he hits this hard right over to Duroff, who's up with it, throws to second for 1. Ellis cannot plant and make a throw over to first, so they just get the 1 out at second, but there's 2 away now. That is tough. That's a tough play to make for Duroff. He has to go down, the first baseman, Brian Duroff, on the carpet, literally the carpet, to get that ball, and he gets it over to Ellis, the shortstop, who's covering second. And a good aggressive pass to the bag by Poss kind of breaks up a potential double play. Now, manager Brant Cummings is talking to one of the umpires here about whether or not that was a legitimate effort into second base or just trying to break it up, and it was. Manager Cummings just wants to have a few words there, and now a little break in the action here. It is 2-0 Lincoln. Short conversation between the catcher DeGero and the starter Hollis Fanning. But the positive for the Crawdads is there's now 2 away. And here comes JT Walden. Tremaine over at third. Chamizo at first. Walden flew out to center to Coleman Schmidt in his first at-bat. He's 0 for 1. And the pitch, Walden takes this to right. Running on it is Jack Ben Shoshan, but that lands in the gap, bounces against the wall, and 2 runs will score for Lincoln. It's a 2 RBI double for JT Walden. They now lead 4-0. A nightmarish beginning for Hollis Fanning on the mound in the Crawdads here in Lincoln. Oh, here comes Trey Furry, who's 1 for 1 with an RBI single. Those 2 RBIs put JT Walden up to 19 now for the Potters. 20's a nice number to have. Oh, he's trying to get there. And a rough start here for the Crawdads this evening in Lincoln. Walden has his lead off of second. A lot of offense so far from the Potters. There's that curve from Fanning, and almost exhaling there is Hollis, who threw pretty well at the All-Star Showcase. back on Wednesday down in Compton at the MLB Urban Youth Academy. Count 0-1 the pitch, and this is hit into the top of the screen, and the count 0-2. Well, maybe about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, you'd figure, all right, 4 runs, that's a hole, but the Crawdads can dig out of it. The offense just has not been there recently for the Dads. They're going to have to find some ways to drive some of these runners in because they're going to get more base runners. They've proven they can do that. The 0-2 pitch, and this misses just low. Going for a cutter on the outside corner was Fanning, and the count 1-2. Bottom of the second, it is a 4-0 lead for Lincoln, but 2 away. Walden has his lead off of second, not being held on by Ellis at all. And this pitch, a fastball, misses high. Looking to go high and away there was Fanning, but not able to induce a swing. And the count 2-2. The Crawdads somehow, some way, were still in second place coming into this ball game because of the 2-1 loss that the Potters had last night in Sonoma. Schmidt was the starter last evening for Lincoln. 6 innings of 1-run ball under his belt. Pitch here, and that misses in. Count now 3 balls and 2 strikes, so a good job by Fanning getting ahead initially. But now 3 straight misses, and the count is full. The payoff pitch, and that swung on and missed. Foul tipped, actually, into the glove of Tejero, indicating the home plate umpire. Trey Furry strikes out, but not before the Crawdads give up 3 runs. The Potters able to get some production, most notably out of the bat of J.T. Walden, who had a big 2 RBI double, and Nick Poss driving in the other one, the number 9 hitter. So 3 runs scored in the bottom of the second for the Potters. It is 4-0 Lincoln at top of the third coming up when we return here from Lincoln, California on the road on the Walnut Creek Crawdads streaming network. 12 Bridges High School cheerleading team just finishing up their routine in between innings here. They actually, their fight song is the Notre Dame fight song. So they use the same fight song as the Fighting Irish, as so many Catholic high schools do, as we were mentioning up here in the booth. But top of the third, about to get started. It is 4-0 Lincoln. For the Crawdads up to bat, 8, 9, and 1. Tejero, Barnhart, and Coleman Schmidt. Crawdads so far, still no hits. guess a positive is they haven't committed any errors. And we all know that McBean Stadium can become a house of horrors defensively on the infield, because if you're not used to playing on the carpet here, that ball can take all kinds of wicked spins and bounces. But Hollis Fanning has been roughed up so far tonight. 4 hits, 6 runs, an error for Lincoln. They are in front. So here is Zach Tejero hitting .250. No home runs yet, but 14 RBIs, and he takes a pitch low from Perez, and the count 1-0. Tejero catching tonight. He is better against CCL North competition than he is in out-of-division games. Batting, that is. And the 1-0 pitch misses, the count 2-0. So that's always kind of interesting. Tejero has not been very successful against the likes of the West Coast Kings or the Cal Bees or out-of-division teams, but usually rock solid against a lot of the Northern Division foes, as Perez able to find the strike zone here. Count 2 balls and a strike. The 2-1 pitch, and Tejero hits this on the ground. David trying to go down to a knee to field it, but he's got enough juice in the arm there, the second baseman David does, to get it over to first to beat the catcher legs of Zach Tejero. Have to figure any other player there for the Crawdads probably beating that one out, but Tejero has been in the squat for a long time so far tonight because Hollis Fanning has had his struggles, not able to get the legs churning fast enough, and there's one away. Boy, David looks good out there at second. And here's Barnhart. Oh, hits a pitch foul. Barnhart hitting .191, a home run, 2 RBIs. He's over at third tonight. Second time we've seen him at third this season for the Crawdads. The 0-1 pitch, and Barnhart takes here. That's right there on the outside black. Maybe not a pitch Barnhart wanted to go after, but now he's in an 0-2 hole. Kind of the opposite story here for Perez. This will be pitch number 25 as opposed to Fanning, who's had to throw a lot of pitches, and it misses outside. The count 1-2. A 1-2 pitch to Barnhart, and he hits this very high into foul territory on the right side near the bullpen of the Potters, and it lands foul on top of one of the tarps over near one of the picnic gardens past the Potter dugout and bullpen. Count still 1-2. Pitch here to Barnhart, and a good eye shown there as going for a slider outside was Perez, just missing his location. Although probably just trying to induce a swing and a miss there from Barnhart. Not able to do so. The count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Perez fires. This misses high, trying to frame it. The catcher paws. And the count runs full, 3 balls and 2 strikes now. So a good job by Joe Barnhart in the 9 spot. See a payoff pitch here. The 3-2, Barnhart able to whack it into the net. He'll see another payoff pitch. Perez making his 7th start, a perfect 5-0 for Lincoln. The 3-2 pitch, Barnhart takes here, and he's rung up looking. Beautiful execution there from the battery of Perez and Paz. 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Coleman Schmidt going to walk into the batter's box. The righty Schmidt, 0 for 1, did make it to first on an error from the first baseman J.T. Walden. The Crawdads trail by 4. It's 4-0 Lincoln. If you're just joining us, Perez has been excellent on the mound for the Potters. First pitch here to Schmidt, who can get things started in a big way for the Crawdads if he sees a mistake, but This mistake pitch, a little too far outside, misses everything, and the count 1-0. Almost a full slate of games tonight in the CCL. 1-0 pitch, and that hits the outside corner. And the count 1-1. At Vanden High School, the Solano Mudcats beat up on the West Coast Kings 15-7. But at one point, the Mudcats were down 7-1. So a good comeback there in an out-of-division game as Schmidt swings and misses here. The count 1-2. The San Luis Obispo Blues victorious 9-8 over the Conejo Oaks. Healdsburg ahead 6-0 in the top of the fifth in Healdsburg against Sonoma. The OC Riptide lead 1-0 against Santa Barbara in Santa Barbara. The 1-2, and Schmidt takes here. This misses outside. The count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Living dangerously there, not trying to fight that off as Coleman Schmidt. That call could go either way at Jackie Robinson Memorial Field in Pasadena. The Arroyo Seco Saints at home leading 3-0 against the Academy Barons. Top of the 5th inning there. And here, of course, the top of the 3rd, Crawdads down 4-0. Schmidt fights this off. That's a little too close for comfort there to the zone. Not going to take a high strike and get punched out. The count stays 2-2 to Coleman Schmidt. That's what's going on and what has already happened around the rest of the CCL. Season winding down here. Just 8 games left, including tonight for the Crawdads. The 2-2 pitch, and Schmidt swings at a pitch down and away and comes up empty. Crawdads not able to get anything going. Back-to-back strikeouts registered there by Perez, Barnhart, and then Coleman Schmidt, who's just struck out for the 36th time this summer. It is still 4-0. Lincoln, bottom of the 3rd, coming up here when we return from Lincoln, California. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 4-0 Lincoln ahead of the Crawdads. Hollis Fanning about to get his 3rd inning of work underway. So far, the Potters 4 runs, 6 hits. They do have an error. The Crawdads still hitless, have had a couple of base runners though. However, they went down 1, 2, 3 in the top of the 3rd. So far, the damage has been done by J.T. Walden, Trey Furry, and Nick Poss. But really the one that hurts is that 2 RBI double from J.T. Walden in the 2nd. Able to get a couple runs in on one swing of the bat. That's why the game is 4-0. With Hollis Fanning, the righty out there, just finishing up his warm-ups. Trying to stay loose is a little bit of an extended break during the change as the 12 Bridges cheerleading team came and did a performance for the fans down the 3rd baseline. First performance was for all the kind folks down the 1st baseline. Now it's going to be 5, 6, and 7. For the Potters, Crenshaw, McCarthy, and David. Crenshaw 1 for 1 so far with a single and hits this pitch on the ground. It takes a few bounces over to a diving Duroff, and the first baseman able to beat Crenshaw out to the bag. A beautiful play there by Brian DeRoff, sliding all the way to the foul line and then quickly recovering, getting up, and sprinting to the bag. One pitch, one out. Crenshaw now 1 for 2. Pitch here, and this is chopped foul down the third base line. And the count 0-1 to Nolan McCarthy, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout swinging back in the first. He was the final out in the bottom of the first. So Fanning has had success against McCarthy. The 0-1 pitch to McCarthy, this misses low. And the count 1-1. 1-1 pitch and a big swing and a miss there. And the count 1-2. A one away here. And the pitch, and this is hit right back up the box, and that ends up a little dribbler into center field. Took a hop off that hard infield turf on the pitcher's mound, which is made out of turf, and ended up in center. So one out base hit for Nolan McCarthy. McCarthy now 1 for 2. Here comes Jeffrey David, who's still looking for his first official at-bat, but in his first plate appearance, he walked. First pitch to David, and takes a mighty swing there. Makes minimal contact, foul, and the count 0-1. Crawdads need Hollis Fanning to settle down here, pitch a clean rest of this half inning as he gets a swing and a miss there from David, and the count 0-2. The 0-2 to David, and fouls this into home plate. It actually ends up ricocheting off the plate and back into David. Looks like he's okay. Maybe rub the elbow a little bit as he restraps the gloves. A ball and 2 strikes with McCarthy having a small lead off of first right now. The pitch, and this misses high. The count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. One away. Fanning has a chance to maybe get a double play ball, but it's always tough here. And the 2-2. This is fouled back by David. Count stays at 2-2. Taking off there with the pitch was McCarthy. McCarthy does have 5 stolen bases this summer. And a move over to first from Fanning. Sliding in safely is McCarthy, so just keeping him honest there is Hollis. But he has had to work very hard so far in this start. Pitch number 60 coming up. The 2-2. And this is hit hard on the ground. Barnhart not with the range that maybe Matt King has. And that gets through the hole, the 5-6 hole there on the left side. And back-to-back one-out singles for the Potters. Runners on first and second. McCarthy able to move up to second. Does not have to steal a bag. Just moves station to station after the single from Jeffrey. So Jeffrey David now 1 for 1. And here comes Cole Tremaine, who's 1 for 1. Crawdads down by 4. It's 4-0 Potters. This pitch is a breaking ball from Hollis. Count 0-1. We've seen the curve, seen a few cutters. The interesting thing about Fanning's cutters, he can put a little extra juice on it when he needs to, take a little bit off. It almost looks like a breaking ball when he delivers it. 0-1 pitch and adds a little bit more on the velo there. Gets a foul tip into the glove of Tejero, and the count 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Couple of runners on at first and second. Fanning set and deals and looking for the check swing call, and Fanning does get it. A good job appealing there by Tejero. And striking out is Cole Tremaine. Oh, he is now 1 for 2. And here comes Nick Poss. Poss had an RBI single in the second. Was not able to get any farther than first, though, as he was taken out over at second base on a fielder's choice that was batted into by Zach Chamizo. A two-way here. Righty against righty. Still runners at first and second. Stepping off here is Hollis Fanning. Good news for Fanning, even though he is above 60 pitches. He's got that strike number up to 43. The ball's at 20. So just above 2-1 in the strike-to-balls ratio. And here's a spin off the mound from Fanning. You hear calls of balk from the fans here in Lincoln. Fanning has already balked once. That was not a balk. Waiting on the first pitch here is Nick Poss. The pitch to the Potters catcher. There's that curve, and it started in, and Poss thought maybe that was going to drill him. Kind of dodged out of the way, but it ended up over the plate. The count 0-1. One thing about the way that Fanning's able to manipulate those breaking balls is he knows that plate is a three-dimensional object up there, the zone, as this is chopped over to the second baseman, Corio, who has it and takes it to second. For out number 3. So the Potters not able to score in the bottom of the third. That is the first shutout half inning that Hollis Fanning has pitched here tonight. However, it is still 4-0. Potters lead. Crawdads will be up to bat in the top of the fourth. Austin Oda on the play-by-play for you here when we return on the Crawdads streaming network.
Welcome back to the Crawdads streaming network here in Lincoln, California. Alondise took you on the adventure that was innings 1 through 3. I'll be with you from 4 through 6. Hollis Fanning has struggled so far. It's been an uncharacteristic day from one of the Crawdads' best players, one of the 6 CCL prospect game representatives for the Crawdads, who trail 4-0. Top of the 4th inning, the Dads will have Tyson Corio to lead off, followed by Ryan Ellis and Kavaris Tears. First pitch to Corio is a called strike from Anthony Perez, the big right-handed pitcher. From watching these Potters this summer, it's been pretty clear that the Potters favor one type of pitcher, as the 0-1 is just a little outside and a touch low with a changeup, 1-1. And that type of pitcher is big, stocky, right-handed pitchers that don't necessarily throw that hard, but just have tremendous control. The 1-1. Corio hits this one hard into deep center field, going back to the center fielder, over his head and up over the wall on a bounce. Tyson Corio, a ground rule double. That's a good start to the second inning, or to the 4th inning, excuse me, for the Crawdads. The first hit of the day for Walnut Creek. They've had a couple base runners. Coleman Schmidt led off the game with an error. Brian Duroff also walked, but that's the first hit. And it'll bring up Ryan Ellis. Ellis, naturally 0 for 1, but has been, through this rough stretch, probably the Crawdads' best player, him and Tyson Corio. He stands in from the left side to face Perez, the big righty. First pitch, Ellis thinks about it, believes ball 1 down and in. Anthony Perez has been arguably the best pitcher in the entire CCL this summer. He's given up just 1 earned run, 35 innings. In 1-0, Ellis takes down and in again, 2-0. The great thing about a pitcher like Perez is he's not a big name D1 guy. He's not like Nick Proctor. He's not like Jason Franks, who just got drafted. He's a Division II player at Cal State East Bay, and he's just having the summer of his life, and it's great to see. The 2-0. Ellis lines this one into right field over the leaping Jeffrey David. Up with it is Crenshaw, and they're going to have to hold Corio at third as Ellis hit it so hard right on the screws that Corio had to freeze a little bit at second, and the Crawdads have runners on the corners with still no outs. The Dads, who trail 4-0, looking to spark some momentum here. Hollis Fanning finally shut down the opposing offense for the first time today in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Had to work around a little bit of a jam, but he did so. And it'll bring up Kavaris Tears. Tears, the big outfielder, DHing today. Tears has likewise been on a really nice run of late, as Ryan Ellis. He homered yesterday. First pitch, Tears takes up high with a fastball, 1-0. Tears 3 for 8 in his last 2 games. He's really hitting the ball well. More importantly than that 3 for 8 is only 1 strikeout. Tears so adept to the strikeout, 26 of them this summer. The 1-0. Tears takes down low, 2-0. So Perez has done such a phenomenal job of getting ahead in the count so far today, and now facing the 2-3-4 spot in the Crawdads lineup, he's gotten behind, and that's where Corio did his damage. That's where Ellis did his damage. Tears looking to be that 3rd in line. Pickoff move, Ellis back in safely to first. 4-0 the score, but the Crawdads are threatening here in the top of the 4th. Perez dangles the right arm, looks over at Ellis at first, looks at Corio at third. He nods his head and fires. Tears takes ball 3, down and away. 3 balls and no strikes to one of the most dangerous hitters on the entire Crawdads roster. Perez has to come in. He has walked 1 already today. That was Brian Duroff. The 3-0 to Tears. He sets just above the belt and fires. Tears, green light, chops it over first base, but foul. Three and one. Ellis gets his lead off first. Corio similarly off third. Perez, the 3-1. With Ellis going, Tears takes inside ball 4, and the bases are going to be loaded. So, something brewing for the Crawdads, who have Tyson Corio on third base, Ryan Ellis on second base, and big Kavaris Tears over at first, with Brian DeRoff at the plate. This is a guy that you definitely want up in this situation. DeRoff is consistently puts the ball in play, is able to take a walk if he needs to, if he doesn't see the pitch, but usually gets good bat on ball. A little mound visit between the Potters pitching coach along with the catcher today and Anthony Perez. Maybe a little more than a little mound break, as the Potters coach out there for a good long while. Slowly, the home plate umpire maneuvers his way over towards the mound. Now goes to the left of the catcher, and Perez saying, "What's going on, guys? You're up 4-0. I know sometimes in these conversations, I almost wonder what the umpire is saying, if he's out there for more than just a, hey, you know, time to pick it up. Because it looked like he was saying some words. He was in conversation, but he's back behind the plate, as is Nick Poss. And it'll be Brian DeRoff. DeRoff does not have an official at-bat today. He's 0 for 0 with a walk. Facing Perez, who works back from the windup, where he's been much more comfortable today. Big burly right-hander delivers the first pitch to DeRoff. Down and in, ball 1. Corio led off the inning with a ground rule double. Ellis followed with a sharp single to right field, and then Kavaris Tears walked. The bases are loaded for Brian DeRoff. Perez sets above the belt and fires. DeRoff pops it up right side, giving Chase Walden in foul territory, but it's going to drift foul up near one of the light poles. Dangerous place to have a parking lot. I wonder how many balls or how many cars get hit in that parking lot, because that is, I mean, that's right in right-hander foul ball territory. The 1-1 to DeRoff. Line drive, center field. Going over McCarthy, he makes the catch in the right center field gap. Tagging from third, Corio, he scores. Tagging from second, Ellis, he's up to third. Brian DeRoff gets the job done. It's 4-1. Nice piece of hitting by the big first baseman, who has had a really nice game, really. Made 2 very nice stops on defense. Gave that ball a ride to center. Now the Crawdads inch a little closer. See, this happened a little bit the last time we were here in Lincoln, where the first couple innings of a lot on play-by-play were, you know, not so great. And then when I came on, Matt King homered, and I mean, I'm not saying I'm the good luck charm, but I'm kind of saying I'm the good luck charm. Joey Donnelly, the hitter, with runners on the corners. Perez fires. Donnelly off the fist, back behind the plate. However, for those who've been listening to the broadcast this entire summer, you know Alon is not a believer in luck. So I am, and that's why I'm the good luck charm. 0-1 to Joey Donnelly, with Tears on first and Ellis on third. Perez fires. Donnelly takes down and in. The count evens at 1. 4-1 now the score. The Dads still in scoring range, with Ellis just 90 feet away at third. The 1-1 to Donnelly. Up high, ball 2. Perez, the next pitch will be number 54. 30 strikes to 23 balls. not where you want to be sitting, and not for a guy like Perez who focuses so much on his finesse. The 2-1. Donnelly takes up high, ball 3. So Anthony Perez, who had given up just 1 earned run the entire summer, 36 innings at this point, has given up 1 this inning already, and now has Donnelly in a hitter's count with the Potters in danger of surrendering another run. The 3-1. Donnelly swings through a changeup. Was sitting fastball and was way out in front on the off-speed pitch, and it's 3-2. We'll see if Tears does anything from first as the dogs are barking. Joey Donnelly, the chosen strikeout batter today, always sets the dogs off. A 3-2. Donnelly takes ball 4, and it actually runs in and hits him on the knee. We mentioned this yesterday. Joey Donnelly, I mean, it just seems like he gets hit every time he is at the plate. Now, the 8th time this summer that Donnelly has been hit by a pitch. But 4 times in about a week. So, the Crawdads load the bases again. Now Jack Ben-Shoshan, the right fielder today. Ben-Sho 0 for 1, but he hit the ball very hard to right center his first time. Not sure. Oh, home plate umpire is dusting off home plate a little bit, which is slightly confusing to me because it's a turf field. There was no dirt on this infield at all. To each their own. Jack Ben-Shoshan, the hitter, with the bases loaded. 4-1 the score. Perez comes set. First pitch. Called strike 1. On the outer block, 0-1 to Jack Ben-Shoshan. Right-handed batter, wearing the number 7. The 0-1, Perez fires. Ben-Sho swings through it, a good cutter, and it's 0-2. If Perez can get out of this jam allowing just 1, that would really be kind of miraculous. But Ben-Sho's in an 0-2 hole. Perez, the 0-2. Way outside, 1-2. Jack Ben-Shoshan still sitting on 1 home run this summer. That was a while back in a game against Sonoma at home. Trying for number 2, the 1-2. Outside, 2-2. The Crawdads have loaded the bases here with just 1 out. They already have 1 run in on the Brian Duroff sac fly. Jack Ben-Shoshan trying to pack another punch. 2-2. The pitch. Ben-Sho takes. Down and away, ball 3. So after 3 very, very, very strong innings of work from Anthony Perez, Tyson Corio's leadoff double put him in the stretch, and he's just not looked the same since. He has to come in here to Ben-Sho, doesn't want to walk in a run. Dangles the arm, now comes set. The base is loaded. The 3-2. Ben-Shoshan swings and misses. Perez slowed him down with a changeup, and Ben-Sho couldn't sit back enough. 2 outs. The base is still loaded for Zach Tajero. The backstop today, 0 for 1. He hit the ball very hard his first time, but a really nice play by Jeffrey David at second base. Base is loaded. First pitch to Tajero on its way. He takes down and in. Darts toward the back foot of Tajero, 1-0. Ellis on third, Tears on second, Donnelly on first. Zach Tajero, the hitter. Anthony Perez, the big righty, on the bump. 4-1 the score. Perez fires. Tajero takes, called strike one, a generous call. At the knees, maybe a little below him. And it's 1-1. Perez readies again. The 1-1. Tajero takes down low, 2-1. I would put good money on the fact that Zach Tajero would absolutely take a walk in this situation if it were to come up. If he's in 3-1, there's almost no way he swings the stick unless it's absolutely perfect. Here it's 2-1. Perez fires. Tajero, high fly ball to left field in the park. Tremaine under it, just shy of the warning track. He makes the catch for the third out of the inning. The Crawdads, however, inch closer. A pair of hits bring home a run, no errors, but they leave 3 runners on base. 4-1 the score. The Potters coming back up. Hollis Fanning back to the mound here on the Crawdads Streaming Network. Bottom of the 4th inning, the Crawdads were able to bring a run to cross the plate on Brian Duroff's sac fly, and now it's 4-1. Hollis Fanning back out to the bump. He'll be facing the top of the lineup, Jared Breedwell, Zach Chamizo, and JT Walden. The first pitch of the 4th inning. Breedwell swings through a good cutter, 0-1. Always a good start to the inning if Hollis Fanning can feed in strikes. Though he did get Breedwell the chase there, the 0-1. Fanning fires. Breedwell takes inside, nearly hits him. 1-1. 4-1 the score here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Jared Breedwell, the hitter, 0 for 2 today. He has struck out. 1-1. Breedwell takes a little outside, ball 2. 2-1. Fanning has struck out 4 batters today as the 2-1 is flipped foul off to the right. Actually, right back to Hollis Fanning, who makes the catch on the ricochet off of one of the poles that holds up the netting back here. Not sure how that happened. 2-2 to Breedwell. Fanning looking for his 5th K of the day. Peers in over that big glove of his, the 2-2. Breedwell takes just a little low, ball 3. Fanning's strikeout numbers today have been good, over a strikeout per inning, but he has given up 8 hits and 4 earned runs, just uncharacteristic in that regard. The 3-2, chopper to short. Ellis on 2 hops on the backhand. Takes his time, but throws to first to get Breedwell by a step for the first out of the inning. When Hollis Fanning is on, you know Hollis Fanning is on because he gets ground ball outs. And really what the Potters have been doing such a good job today of doing is elevating, is taking the ball down. Hollis Fanning still sitting down, but they're just elevating. They're using their bat paths in a correct way, finding holes, and really they've been great offensively. First pitch is a called strike 1 on a changeup to Zach Chamizo. Chamizo is last time up, lined a single into left center. He's 1 for 2. The 0-1. Chamizo takes outside, 1-1. Fanning fires. Chamizo takes a cutter outside, 2-1. In conference play, Zach Chamizo has just been unstoppable. 450 average with 3 doubles, 4 batted in, only 2 strikeouts. The 2-1. Chamizo fouls it back to the screen, 2-2. The top 2 in this lineup in Jared Breedwell, Zach Chamizo, haven't played a ton this summer. Chamizo more than Breedwell. Breedwell only in his 4th game as a Potter. The 2-2 to Chamizo. Fanning strikes him out swinging. Good changeup. The 5th strikeout of the day for Hollis Fanning, and the 2nd out of the 4th inning. So Hollis Fanning, after a very tough start to the day, definitely settling down a little bit. Pitch count is high. That was the 75th pitch of the day for him, and we're not even through the 4th, but if anything, just a little momentum would be nice for the Crawdads. Looking for their first 1-2-3 inning of today's ball game. JT Walden, the man in the way. First pitch, Walden takes, called strike 1 on a good fastball. 0-1. It'll be interesting to see if, should Hollis Fanning finish this inning quickly, if he goes out for a 5th inning of work. We will see. Fanning in disagreement with Tajero. Now finds the sign he likes. The 0-1. Walden takes, called strike 2. Big curveball, 0-2. Fanning looking for strikeout number 6. The 0-2 to Walden. Way inside, actually behind Walden. He thinks it hits him. Fanning does not. But I think it might have gotten a little piece of his jersey on the back. That's a really tough break. I mean, if you're Hollis Fanning, you know you're not trying to hit someone on 0-2 with 2 outs, but it just caught a little bit of his back. So now Fanning's going to have to be in the stretch with 2 outs, 4-1. The Crawdads trail. The bottom of the 4th inning. First pitch to Furry. Up high with a fastball, 1-0. Furry on the day, 1 for 2. Furry can just hit. 5 doubles, 3 homers, a triple, 32 batted in. Does strike out a lot, but also walks nearly just as much. The 1-0. Just a little inside on a curve, 2-0. Really the only, I guess you could say, negative about Trey Furry's game is the 12 errors. But errors are not always the best way to see how good or bad a defender is. The 2-0. Furry lines this one into left center, and that'll get down into the gap. Up against the wall, Donnelly has it, coming around third to score is Walden, and it's 5-1. The 0-2 hit by pitch really comes back to bite Fanning, as Furry immediately turns around and does some damage. $5-1, 9 hits for the Potters. Crawdads, on the other hand, just have 2. I feel like a broken record saying that the Crawdads have done a great job getting on base, but not doing anything with those runs. Now Garen Crenshaw, 1 for 2 as well. First pitch, Crenshaw takes, called strike 1. On the outside, 0-1. The Crawdads, who were the hottest team in the entire CCL for about a week, have really cooled off in the last month or so. The 0-1. Down and away. 1-1. If you can remember all the way back to that July 4th game here in Lincoln, the Crawdads were riding a 7-game win streak. They were on top of the CCL World, just a half game behind Healdsburg. That was less than a month ago. Now the Crawdads, 5.5 games back of the first place Packers. The 1-1. Crenshaw fouls this off back to the left, 1-2. They're going to need a big rally against probably the second best pitching staff as a whole out of the North, at least. Can't discredit Healdsburg, but Lincoln has been phenomenal. The 1-2 chopped off of Crenshaw in the batter's box. The count stays 1-2.
Wow, long time no see. The second man through the gate seems like.
Crenshaw takes a little walk. That one got him pretty good. Still behind in the count, 1-2. Fanning trying to get out of this inning, allowing just the 1. He sets. Kicks the left leg and fires. Ground ball to second base. Corio on a couple hops. Can't field it cleanly. That'll be an error on Tyson Corio. Just some tough sledding for the Crawdads right now. The breaks that were going their way are not anymore. Simply put. 2 outs, however. Crenshaw is able to reach first, and there will be runners on the corners for the uber-talented Nolan McCarthy. First pitch to McCarthy. Swing and a miss. Good cutter. 0-1. Fanning now all the way up to 87 pitches on the day. 0-1. He steps off. No move. Crawdads do have Nate Nordell warming up in their bullpen as the 0-1 to McCarthy is lined past third base, past the diving Barnhart and into the left field corner. 1 run scores. Coming around third, the second runner, he will score, and it is 7-1 Potters. I mean, this is what happens when you load the bases with 1 out and can't score, and this is what happens when you're up 0-2 to a hitter and hit him. This is what happens when you have 2 outs and make a costly error. It's going to come back to bite you. Now 7 runs have crossed the plate, 3 in this frame alone. And there will be a mound visit with Jack Delmore and Hollis Fanning, as well as Zach Tajero. A visibly unhappy Hollis Fanning. You can't blame him. The guy who has been the Crawdads' best pitcher this entire summer. In his first start of the second half or post the CCL prospect game, he has just really struggled. Fanning since June 29th has given up a total of 3 earned runs. Already today, Fanning's given up 5. Just has not been the same dominant Hollis Fanning that we have been grown accustomed to seeing. 7-1, mound visit is over. That'll bring up Jeff David. At second base today, he's 1 for 1. Scored a run. Also taken a walk. First pitch, David takes, called strike 1 on a fastball, 0-1. Crawdads just trying to get off the field here, get their bats back up to the plate. The 0-1. Gets by Tajero, the runner from second, tries to go. The throw by Barnhart is not in time. He drops the ball. In safely at third is Nolan McCarthy. And another miscue for the Crawdads. One ball and 1 strike the count to Jeffrey David. Fanning fires. 1-1. David grounds it to short. Ellis on a slide picks it up and throws to first. In time, Duroff is able to keep his foot on the bag, but a nightmarish inning for the Crawdads, who surrender 3 runs. The 2-out Tyson Corio error really comes back to bite. 7-1 now the score when we come back on the top of the 5th inning here on the Crawdads streaming network. Anthony Perez back out to the mound for his 5th inning of work, now leading 7-1. The biggest deficit of the game so far for the Crawdads here in the top of the 5th inning. Joe Barnhart to lead off for the Crawdads. Barnhart worked a really nice at bat in his first time up, but fell victim to a called third strike as the first pitch misses low, 1-0. Joe Barnhart, while the average hasn't gone up, really the quality of at bat for him has been tremendous of late. The 1-0 is inside and low, 2-0. It's difficult to look at the numbers and see what Barnhart is doing, but really, it's just been 3-2 count after 3-2 count after 3-2 count. The 2-0, fisted, past third, foul. The 2-1, outside and low, 3-1. Barnhart looking to set the table for the top of the lineup as Coleman Schmidt waits in the on-deck circle. Interesting to see Barnhart in the 9 spot as Perez, the 3-1 pitch, misses high, ball 4. So, a leadoff runner, always good. Though if you ask the Crawdads in their game against Healdsburg the other day, about a week ago, where they had a leadoff runner in 8 of 9 innings and were unable to score. Maybe a leadoff runner isn't great. But Barnhart sets the table for Coleman Schmidt. Schmidt 0 for 2. He struck out in his last at bat. Looking to turn it around here. First pitch. Schmidt takes ball 1, way outside. 1-0. Perez, now with 3 walks on the day. The 1-0 to Schmidt. Outside, pickoff move. Barnhart is just in safely at first. And that is a generous call. Wow, Joe Barnhart got lucky. You hear one of the Potter faithful saying, "Call New York." Not sure what Barnhart's doing there. 2-0 to Schmidt. Really nice throw by Poss over to first. Perez fires. Schmidt takes called strike 1 on the outside. 2-1. Crawdads trail 7-1 after a 3 spot by the Potters in the bottom of the 4th inning. Hollis Fenning's day likely over. The 2-1. Schmidt takes way outside. 3-1. Barnhart gets his lead off first. The 3-1 to Schmidt. Ground ball to third. Foul. Schmidt, we've mentioned so much this season that he is maybe the best mistake hitter in this entire CCL. Trying to prove it a little bit here. Coleman Schmidt does, however, have, at least in this iteration of the Crawdads, the single season hits record for a Walnut Creek Crawdad. Set last year by Hayden Schott with 43. Schmidt already at 49. With still about 10 games to play. The full count pitch. Schmidt lines this one into left center, a base hit. That'll get to the wall. Barnhart tearing around second, gets into third. Jensen's going to wave him home. The throw, cut off by Chamizo. The throw to the plate. Barnhart is in safely. Coleman Schmidt brings the Dads a little bit closer with an RBI double. It's 7-2. There's a will, there's a way, and the Crawdads need a pretty big will. They're down 5 still, but now, I mean, Anthony Perez had given up 1 earned run this entire summer. He's already up to 2 today. I say already, but I mean, if, you know, for a lot of pitchers, if they give up 2 runs in 4+ innings, it's a pretty good day. 7-2, now Tyson Corio, who hit a absolute rope for a ground rule double in his last at bat over the 380 sign in center field. Stands in from the left side. First pitch, Corio takes up high. Ball 1. Oreo pops it up. Right side, Walden coming in. He loses it a little bit, but makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Oreo sent down without a threat. And it'll bring up Ryan Ellis at shortstop today. With the departure of Matt King, we're likely to see Ryan Ellis at shortstop a little more as the season goes along, towards the latter part of the season. With that said, even when King was here, Ellis was playing primarily shortstop, as I think Ellis and King got in a rhythm on that left side. But for now, Ellis in the batter's box with a runner on second. First pitch, Ellis takes way outside, ball one. There is some action in the Lincoln bullpen. Looks like Alex Dargan, big righty, out of USC. 1-0 to Ellie. Perez fakes a pickoff move with Chamizo covering, but back in safely is Schmitty. The 1-0 to Ellis. Tipped off the end of the bat. 1-1. Crawdads were able to make some interesting additions to their roster as they added a pitcher and a position player on the last day of availability for that. Antoine Villario, the big righty out of Chabot, who the Crawdads have actually seen this summer. He was a member of the Bay Area Force earlier this year, as the 1-1 to Ellis misses inside and past the catcher, and Schmidt's going to be up to third base. Antoine Villario, I mentioned he pitched against the Crawdads this summer. That came all the way back at the start of the season, if you can remember back to when the Crawdads played the Bay Area Force on June 10th. A 5-4 loss. Villario in that game was terrific. He went 4 innings, giving up 3 hits with 4 strikeouts. And he will join this Crawdads team kind of in need of a pitcher. 2-1 to Ellis. High fly ball, left field. Near the line, Tremaine. He makes the catch. Schmidt tags from third. He will score just ahead of the throw. Tremaine made it pretty close, closer than I was expecting, but unable to corral it was Poss, and the Crawdads put up a 2-spot, a crooked number in this inning. It's 7-3. Like I mentioned, the Crawdads made 2 additions to their roster, not just Antoine Villario, also Cameron Calvillo, an infielder out of Ohlone College, but he is interesting because he's a two-way guy. According to manager Cummings, he can throw about 90 on the mound and also play some really good defense at shortstop. He's a little guy, only 5'9", 185, but packs a punch. Tavares tears in the box. Anthony Perez steps off the mound. And now a mound visit. A little more on Cameron Calvillo. 5'9", 185 pounder out of Ohlone College, a powerhouse. Last season, Calvillo played in 42 games, hit .309 with 9 RBI. And as I'm talking about Calvillo, Anthony Perez is being taken out of the game. So the Crawdads are able to hand Anthony Perez his worst start of the summer, and with that said, he was still terrific. We'll get you information on the new pitcher with the Crawdads trailing 7-3 here on the Crawdads Streaming Network. The new pitcher for Lincoln is Alex Dargan. This summer, Dargan has not had the summer he's wanted. He'll be coming into his 10th game, 22 and 2/3 inning. He has 22 strikeouts, but also 17 walks and a 9.13 ERA. He is 2-2, and he'll be facing Kavares Tears. First pitch, outside, 1-0. In his most recent appearance against Medford, he went an inning, gave up 3 runs on 4 hits. He has not faced the Crawdads this summer. The 1-0, Tears takes down low, 2-0. 7-3, the Crawdads have put up a crooked number here to inch them a little closer. Back to the same deficit that they were in when it was 4-0 as the 2-0 to Tears. Big swing and a miss on a changeup, 2-1. The thing about Kavares Tears is if you know if he makes contact with that, that's going far, but he's unable to there. And now he has the count 2-1. Dargan, the big righty, delivers. Tears swings over another changeup, 2-2. Kavares Tears and changeups, kryptonite. Deuces are wild. Dargan delivers. Tears strikes out swinging. Another changeup. 3 straight changeups, and Nick Dargan sends the Crawdads DH home packing. But the Crawdads score a couple times thanks to Coleman Schmidt's RBI double and Ryan Ellis's sac fly. Led to the bottom of the 5th. Likely a new pitcher coming out when we come back here on the Crawdads Streaming Network. A new pitcher for the Walnut Creek Crawdads, who trail 7-3 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Glad you're joining us. Austin Oda, on to say, on the call. The new pitcher for the Crawdads is the big righty Nate Nordell, who has had a very nice season to this point. He has the lowest ERA of any active pitcher on this Crawdad staff, as it sits at just 1.58 through 17 innings, 12 strikeouts, just 5 walks, a win, no losses. He has been terrific. He'll be facing Tremaine, Poss, and Breedwell. First pitch, down and away. Bounces past Tajero. 1-0. 1-0, misses outside. 2-0. Cole Tremaine, the hitter, he's listed as a pitcher. I would assume that Tremaine plays both ways, though he is yet to make an appearance on the mound this summer. 2-0 the count to Tremaine. Nordell fires. Tremaine grounds it to third. Barnhart on 2 hops, picks it up, throws high to first, but Duroff makes the play over at first base for the first out of the inning. Always good to see Joe Barnhart make some plays at third. We've seen him primarily at designated hitter, and if not catching. Haven't seen him at third in a long while. But he makes the play there, and it brings up the 9-hitter, Nick Poss, the catcher. Poss, a catcher out of Santa Clara. One for 2 today, had an RBI. He chops the first pitch foul. Last season at Santa Clara, Poss got a little bit of playing time. 24 at-bats, only 3 hits. One of them was a double and one of them was a homer. So the slugging is pretty high if you consider the lack of hits. But he also struck out nearly 40% of the time. The 0-1, big curveball. Misses a little high, 1-1. Nordell. The 1-1. Poss grounds it to short. Ellis backhands it on a couple hops, shuffle steps, and throws on to first to get Poss hustling down the line for the second out of the inning. 2 batters face, both ground balls for Nate Nordell, who is just kind of doing what Nate Nordell does. Nordell has been just so fun to watch. He's another one of those guys like Anthony Perez who doesn't have a big name. He's not a D1 guy. He's not a Blake Burke, but he just comes out and he pitches and he does well. First pitch, curveball called strike 1. 0-1. To the lefty. Trevor Tishankle now in the box, a pinch hitter. As Breedwell's day is done. Tishankle, the man out of Cal. The 0-1. Curveball popped up. Shallow left field. Ellis going back. Twists and turns. Calls for the ball and makes the catch as he falls to the ground. But he does catch it. Helped up by his teammates Schmidt and Donnelly. And a 1-2-3 inning for Nate Nordell. God, I love watching him pitch. Led to the top of the 6th. A clean inning for the Crawdads. 7-3 they trail. Headed to the top of the 6th here on the Crawdads streaming network. The Crawdads were able to crawl back a little bit in the last frame as they put up a crooked number, and then Nate Nordell turned right around and threw a shutdown inning. And now the Dads have Brian Duroff, Joey Donnelly, and Jack Ben Shoshan. First pitch to Duroff is called strike one on the outside. Duroff still yet to record an official at bat today. Last time he was up, he lined a hard shot into center field that was caught, but brought in a run. Here he grounds this one up the middle, past the dive of Shimizu and into center field for a base hit. A good start to the 6th inning for the Crawdads. It'll bring up Joey Donnelly, Duroff's first hit of the day. Really good to see from Brian Duroff, who had pulled down a little bit. Just one for his last 11 going into that at bat. Now Joey Donnelly, the, I don't know, bark batter of the day? It doesn't sound completely right. First pitch to Donnelly, down and away, ball one. The dog batter, I'm being told right now, sponsored by Dueling Dogs. The 1-0, called strike one, 1-1. I'm kind of just putting it together right now that beer batter might be like a play on words, as in like beer batter, like it is the batter sponsored by beer, and also, I don't know, maybe like beer battered fish, but I could be stretching a little with that one. 1-1 to Donnelly, outside, ball two. Still Alex Dargun on the mound. Two-1 to Donnelly. The big left-handed bat. Dargan fires, and Donnelly foul tips it back into the mitt of Poss, 2-2. So the bark batter, Joey Donnelly, in danger of striking out here, giving the Lincoln fans what they want. Which, of course, you never want to do as an away player. The 2-2. Dargan strikes him out swinging. Donnelly chased a fastball outside for the first out of the inning. And the crowd goes crazy. One out for Jack Ben Shoshan with Brian Duroff, the runner on first, and the Crawdads trailing by 4. Bencho came up with the bases loaded his last time up and was struck out against Anthony Perez. First pitch, he squares to bunt and takes strike one. He can't believe it. A generous call on the outside. 0-1. Joey Donnelly's average now down to 200. The 0-1 to Bencho. Big breaker called strike two. Just completely froze Ben Shoshan, and it's 0-2. Duroff on first. Bencho has to fight. Behind in the count, 0-2. Dargan sets. Deals. Way outside. Ball one. Less than a month ago, Joey Donnelly was hitting 300. His batting average has dropped exactly 100 points. The 1-2 is called strike three on a fastball. Bencho goes down. So a month ago, on June 23rd, the Crawdads played the West Coast Kings. And that day, Joey Donnelly's average was 314. Now it sits at 200. Zach Tajero, the hitter. Duroff still on first. Dargan trying to get out of this one. First pitch to Tajero. Foul tipped. Tajero loses his bat. The third Crawdad in a week to lose their bat on a swing. Who's going to hand him the pine tar this time? Let's see. Over in Solano, it was actually the catcher, Cole Santander. Yesterday it was Ryan Ellis that lost the bat and Brian DeRoff that came over and tossed him the pine tar. Today, no one's giving Zach Tajero pine tar. He does go no batting gloves. I wonder if this is a little bit of the punishment from the other guys. You know, like, you're not using batting gloves and we're not giving you any help either. 0-1 to Tajero, who's 0 for 2. Dargan fires. Tajero hits a high pop-up. Back behind second, going out David. And the center fielder over in center field, playing second base today, Jeff David, corrals it for the third out of the inning. The Crawdads get a leadoff runner, but are unable to move him anywhere past first. They trail 7-3. When we come back, the bottom of the sixth, here on the Crawdads Streaming Network. Nate Nordell was able to navigate through the 8-9-1 hitters in this Potters lineup without really much of an effort. Now he'll face 2-3-4, a little bit tougher of a challenge. Zach Chamizo, JT Walden, and Trey Furry, who are a combined 4 for 8. First pitch to Chamizo is a little low. Ball 1-0. Nordell, after really not seeing the field much at all early in the summer, has become a mainstay in this Crawdads bullpen as the 1-0 is hit hard to center field. Schmidt going back at the track, reaches up and makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Chamizo gave it a ride, but really nothing gets by Coleman Schmidt. One out. And the hitter, JT Walden, one of the most dangerous hitters in this entire lineup, has 4 home runs on the summer, 7 doubles. First pitch, big swing and a miss on a good changeup. 0-1. Nordell likes to work quickly, but Walden slows him down a tad. 0-1. Walden takes down low. 1-1. JT Walden coming off a phenomenal season over at Folsom Lake College where he hit .385. 7 home runs, 58 batted in. I mean, he was elite over there for a very good Folsom Lake team. Teammates with Jared Breedwell, who's a current Potter, Jeff Bowser, who you've seen this summer. Also Colt Tremaine. One and one the count to the big first baseman, Walden. Nordell delivers. Walden takes down and in with a big curveball. 2-1. Seven to 3, the Crawdads trail in the bottom of the 6th inning. Nate Nordell on the mound, who fires. Called strike 2 to Walden on the inside. 2-2. Tajero snapped his glove back as he was setting up on the outside, but was able to get the call either way. Just good pitching and good umpiring. Nordell looking for his first K of the day. Fanning was able to strike out 5 in his 4 innings of work, though he did give up 7 runs. 2-2 to Walden. Nordell. Walden flips a changeup into left field, but Donnelly's right there to make the catch for the second out of the inning. 2 outs now. Nordell has set down 5 straight, and now will be facing Trey Furry. Glad you're joining us here in Lincoln, California. Austin Oda on the call right now. Alon Desai will be taking over for innings 7 through 9 and everything that happens past that if the game were to go into extra innings. Crawdads will be back in action tomorrow at home at noon against the top-ranked Healdsburg Prune Packers. First pitch to Furry, called strike 1. Nice off-speed pitch there from Nordell. Healdsburg currently closing in on a 7-2 victory against Sonoma. That's in the top of the 9th over at Rec Park. The 0-1. Furry takes ball 1. Another CCL action. The Solano Mudcats poured it on against the West Coast Kings 15-7. The Conejo Oaks fell to the Slow Blues 9-8. The OC Riptide beat the Foresters 2-1 in a pitcher's duel, and the Arroyo Seco Saints beat the Barons of Academy 6-0. The 1-1. Furry takes called a ball. 2-1, a little up high maybe, with a huge curveball. Were the Lincoln Potters to hold on, they'd surpass the Crawdads for second place in the CCL. 2-1. Called strike 2 on the outside. Nordell gets the call on a big breaker. 2-2. Crawdads need this one to get a little separation in the standings. They currently sit just a half game up of Lincoln. Deuces are wild. Nordell trying to set down his 6th straight. The 2-2. Runs in and hits him. Second time today the Crawdads pitcher has been in a 2-strike count and yet has come in and hit the batter. And Furry will be on base. Nordell, who's usually so reliable in a situation like that. The changeup, it looked like, just sank in a little too far. Now Garrett Crenshaw, the right fielder. Nordell, first pitch. Crenshaw foul tips it into the mid of Tajero. 0-1. Crenshaw so far today has had a 1-for-3 day, with a runner on first, and the Crawdads trailing 7-3 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Nordell comes set and fires the 0-1 inside and a little bit low on a slider. 1-1. There is a little bit of action in the Potters bullpen, though Alex Dargan has been fantastic so far today. 1-1 to Crenshaw. Nordell. The 1-1. Called the ball. Maybe missed a little inside. 2-1. Nordell trying to get the Crawdads bats back up. They've been seeing the ball much better of late these last couple innings. 2-1. Crenshaw takes ball 3 inside, 3-1. The man in the bullpen is Evan Odin out of Sierra Junior College. Odin yet to make an appearance this summer. 3-1. Way outside, ball 4. So 2 down, but 2 straight free passes for Nate Nordell, a man who does not issue many of them. And it'll bring up the very talented Nolan McCarthy. McCarthy, of course, out of Kentucky. Didn't play much there. First pitch called strike 1. Get it in fastball. McCarthy also played last summer in the Northwoods League with the Kalamazoo Growlers, where he had a really good summer, hitting .276 with 4 home runs. Behind in the count 0-1, Nordell fires, called strike 2 in the same spot with a fastball 0-2. The man of 2 first names, Jeffrey David, waits on deck. But right now, all eyes on Nordell and McCarthy. The big righty comes set. Above the letters and fires. In the dirt, blocked by Tajero. Giving a little bit of a lead off. The second was Furry, but he wasn't going anywhere. 1-2. Crawdads trying to get out of this inning and get it to their bats. When they come back, they'll have Joe Barnhart, Coleman Schmidt, and Tyson Corio. The 1-2. Fouled off to the right. McCarthy was able to inside out a fastball, and the count stays at 1-2. That Barnhart, Schmidt, Corio part in the lineup is what gave the Crawdads that crooked number earlier today in the top of the 5th. Nordell. Comes set. The 1-2 to McCarthy. Called strike 3 on a big breaker that catches the inside corner. Nordell works out of a jam. 7-3, the Crawdads trail. Barnhart, Schmidt, Corio coming up when we come back. Alon to say on play-by-play here on the Crawdads Streaming Network.
Top of the 7th inning, 7-3. Lincoln leads this one. It's a 4-run ball game. Joe Barnhart stepping in. Evan Oden, the new man on the mound, along to say here with you for the later innings. First pitch to Barnhart misses high and away from Oden, so the first pitch that Oden throws is a ball. Oden, 6'1" righty. He's a native of Lincoln, making his first appearance tonight for the Potters, and he finds the strike zone here in the count 1-1 for the Crawdads, who trail by 4. It's Barnhart, who's in an even count here, and then Schmidt and Corio, 9-1-2. And the 1-1 pitch is flared foul. So far, the line score, the Crawdads are down by 4 runs, have scored 3 on 4 hits. They do have an error. Lincoln, on the other side, though, 7 runs, 10 hits, and an error for them. They've been great with the bat. The 1-2 pitch, and looking for the outside corner there is Oden, and he does not get it. So the count 2-2. Barnhart over at third tonight for the Crawdads. And the 2-2 pitch, and Barnhart foul tips this into the catcher Passa's glove. And that's a strikeout. So the Crawdads were able to get a little momentum going in the 5th, where they were able to put up a crooked number, able to score 2 runs. And it looked like maybe they were going to do that in the 6th as well with a leadoff single from Brian DeRoth, but unfortunately for the Dads, Donnelly and Ben Shoshon both struck out, and Tejero popped out to the second baseman, David. Perez, the starter tonight, was pretty darn good for the Potters. As here's Coleman Schmidt. The first pitch to Schmidt is a strike. Schmidt is 1 for 3 tonight with an RBI double back in the 5th, a strikeout in the 3rd, and reached first base on an error on the first baseman, Walden, in the first at-bat of the game. But Perez threw 4 2/3 innings, gave up 3 hits, 3 runs all earned, walked 3, struck out 3. The 0-1 pitch to Schmidt, he takes here. This time it's outside for ball 1, the count 1-1. Dargan, who came in to relieve Perez, threw an inning and a 1/3, gave up a hit, no runs, struck out 3, faced 5. Perez faced 21, and this is fouled out of play in the count 1-2 to Schmidt. Oden now making his first appearance this season for the Potters. These teams both in a battle for second place. It looks like Healdsburg is going to have first. They've just been so good this year. And the 1-2 pitch to Schmidt. He swings it one down in the turf, and he's eventually tagged out by Posh. So strikeout for Coleman Schmidt. That's his second K of the evening. He's now struck out 37 times and just 11 walks this season. So 2 away here in the top of the 7th. Get you some updates from around the league as well. The Blues able to hang on, beat the Conejo Oaks 9-8 at Cal Lutheran at Sparky Anderson Field. Pitch here, Corio lines this foul into the bullpen of the Potters. Count 0-1. The Riptide able to win a pitcher's duel 2-1 against the Santa Barbara Foresters at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara. The Arroyo Seco Saints lead 7-0 against the Academy Barons in Pasadena in the top of the 9th. The 0-1 pitch to Corio. This bounces up to Paz, and the count 1-1. The Sonoma Stompers lose 7-2 against the Healdsburg Prune Packers. That game is final. That was in Healdsburg, and right now in the top of the 7th, it is 7-3 Lincoln. And Corio hits this very high into center. Now ranging over is McCarthy under it for round number 3. So the Crawdads go down 1-2-3, a pair of strikeouts for the new pitcher, Evan Oden. And a great debut for him for Lincoln. So it is still 7-3 here in Lincoln, California. Bottom of the 7th coming up when we return on the Crawdads streaming network. Bottom of the 7th inning, still Nate Nordell on the mound for the Crawdads. The first reliever used tonight, it is 7-3 Lincoln. First reliever employed by manager Brant Cummings. It's 7, 8, and 9. Jeffrey David, then Cole Tremaine, and Nick Poss for the Potters. Righty against righty here. Darrow setting up inside, and the pitch to David misses low, and the count 1-0. David walked in the second, came around to score, had a single in the third, and grounded out 6-3 in his last at-bat in the fourth. So it's been a while since David's been up there. As this is lined straight over to Barnhart, who climbs the ladder and spears it out of midair. Great job at the Hart corner there by Joe Barnhart, who doesn't have a whole lot of experience on the left side of the infield, but showing off the hops is Barnhart. Oh, here is Cole Tremaine, who's 1 for 3. And there's one away, with the Potters leading by 4, 7-3 here in Lincoln this evening. Crawdads came into this game in second place, half a game ahead of Lincoln, as this is hit high but foul. And the count 0-1. Lights now on here in Lincoln, California at McBean Stadium. The new lights, just a great addition to this ballpark. It's beautiful in the evening. A lot of improvements being made to this stadium, and they're paying off. The 0-1 pitch, and there's a breaking ball that ends up going over the back of Tremaine as he bent over. He didn't want to get drilled, and the count 1-1. Hollis Fanning, today's starter for the Crawdads. Not the usual we see out of Fanning. 4 innings pitched, 10 hits given up, 7 runs total, 5 of them earned, walked 1, struck out 5. Faced 25, Nordell misses a little bit low. The count 2-1. So far he's thrown 2 1/3 innings. Hasn't given up a hit yet. Has walked 1, struck out 1. This is the 10th man that he's facing. Oh, the count 2-1 to Tremaine. And the 2-1 pitch, there's a slider. A little bit high, but in the zone, and the count 2-2. I think that pitch was supposed to be a little lower. Looking for the outside corner there was Nate Nordell, and now a multitude of signals being sent out by Tejero as he taps his head. Now the pitch, and this is hit hard, and a scorcher on the ground. It ends up in left field through the 5-6 hole on the left side there. So it's interesting, after the single from Tremaine, who's now 2 for 4, Barnhart in his second game at third. He showed off the hops earlier, spearing one out of the air this half inning, but I just don't know if he has the range to play so far up over at third. Well, Matt King had a lot of range over there, but Barnhart playing a little closer to where on a regular field the bridge of the dirt and the grass would be. And maybe Barnhart's just got to play a little deeper and trust his arm. See how that develops the rest of the way. Of course, Matt King done now for the season with the Crawdads, and it's a pinch hitter. It's Matt Lee for Nick Poss. So Matt Lee, the catcher, pinch hitting for Poss, and here's a curveball that comes in and hits Lee. So the first pitch to Lee drills him right on the left arm. Oh, a single for Tremaine, and now a hit by pitch to Poss. So runners on first and second with 2 away. Or with 1 away, rather. So 2 runners on, 1 away. And the lineup card turns over. It's Jared Breedwell. Breedwell has not had an eventful day at the plate. So 0 for 4. Pitch here, runs inside. Count 1-0. And check that. It is not Breedwell. It is Trevor Tushenkel. Tushenkel came in to the ballgame in the 5th inning. The 1-0 pitch, and Tushenkel chops this, but foul down the first base line. Count 1-1. So Breedwell's day ended 0-for-3. Tushenkel popped out to Ellis in his first at-bat in the 5th. Just want to clear things up for everybody. It is 7-3 Potters. Here in the bottom of the 7th, and the 1-1 pitch misses high. The count 1-2. Chamizo on deck, pending another pinch hitter. We've already seen Matt Lee pinch hit for Nick Poss. Lee over at first, Tremaine at second. Runners have their leads. And the pitch, this misses low. The count now 3 balls and a strike. Nordell has now thrown 42 pitches as his catcher, Zach DeGero, is taking a slow walk out there to go talk to him. And you can tell there's a little disappointment there from Nordell, who has been rock solid so far in this relief outing in terms of not giving up any runs. But Nordell has thrown 20 strikes. Pretty good, but 22 balls. The 3-1 to Tushenkel, and he fouls this back into the screen, and the count runs full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Interesting to see who manager Brant Cummings goes to, especially with Nordell now up at 43 pitches next. I don't expect Nordell to finish this game out. I know Colson Abel, the lefty, the one lefty out of the bullpen, still available for the Crawdads. He can play tonight. The 3-2 pitch, and this is foul tipped. My count stays 3-2, but the pitching staff for the Crawdads, and not all that different from a lot of the other teams in the CCL, especially in the North. I mean, you know, to put it bluntly, it's been decimated. A lot of guys have left. They've been shut down by their schools. A lot of things being held together with rubber bands and chewing gum right now. The payoff pitch to Tushenkel. He hits his hard on the ground through the hole on the right. That'll end up in right field. And Ben Shoshan going to make a throw home, and it's over the head of Tejero. But luckily back there is Nordell, who tosses back to Tejero, and 2 runs end up scoring. Tejero thought that he had the tag on the second runner coming home, but he didn't. And it is now 9-3. So 2 runs come home to score. It looked like a pretty good throw from Ben Shoshan back towards home, but it took a wild skip, got over the head of Tejero. Nordell was back there and immediately flipped onto Tejero at home plate, but not in time to get Nick Poss. So Tremaine and Poss both score. Tushenkel now over at second. An RBI for Tushenkel. Also a throw over to third from Tejero, trying to get Tushenkel over at third, and they do. They catch him running on the first pitch, and there's 2 away. Just been the kind of night that the Crawdads have seen all too often over these past 14 games. Offense not able to really get anything consistent. There's a count 0-1 to Chamizo, and now time is called. But with runners on first and second, what looked like it was just going to be a single turned into a double for Tushenkel, able to drive in a couple of runs. This is fouled away. The count 0-2 now. But the Crawdads, outside of a blowout win over the Mudcats, as well as another 9-run victory over the Healdsburg Prune Packers. I mean, yesterday they lost in a 1-run ball game. It was 4-3. They lost to Lincoln on Monday of this week, 8-5. So it's just been tough. The batting has really dipped, and the pitching has been suspect at times as well, as this is a mislocation on a pitch from Nordell. Ends up inside, but it's hit over to Corio at second. And he throws the first for the third out, but not before 2 runs come across for Lincoln, who now leads by 6. The Crawdads with a big hole to climb out of. It is 9-3 Lincoln, top of the 8th. Coming up when we return here on the Crawdads streaming network. Top of the 8th inning. Crawdads down big. It's 9-3 Lincoln right now. And there is a new pitcher on the mound for the Potters. It's number 6, which should be Jake Torres. And indeed it is Torres. There is a defensive substitution for the Potters. Pinch hitting for Nick Paws was Matt Lee. He is now the catcher. DeShankel, of course, came in the 5th in the designated hitter spot for Breedwell. Well, the defense pretty much the same, except for behind the plate. So Torres coming in. Evan Oden. His night is done. Torres has an even ERA at 1.000. This will be his 7th appearance. He has 1 save, 9 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 hits. The Crawdads have seen him twice. Once was a win for the Crawdads back on June 21st, a 9-4 win for Walnut Creek, and then on July 18th, an 8-5 victory. That was the Monday game. Torres pitched in that, a victory for the Potters. He threw an inning and 2/3, gave up 2 hits, struck out 2, faced 7. So he's been very good in limited innings. A lot of appearances, but limited innings for Torres. So here in the top of the 8th with the Crawdads down by 6, it's 9-3 Lincoln. We'll see if he's just pitching the 8th and giving it over to someone else, or if he's going to pitch 8 and 9. It's going to be Ellis, Tiers, and Duroff, 3, 4, and 5 for the Crawdads. Ellis promptly hits this ball on the ground, a dive made by David out there, but it ends up in right center, so Ellis gets a hit. Ellis' 2nd single of the game. He's now 2 for 3. Good piece of hitting there from Ryan Ellis. The final line on Evan Oden, an inning pitched, clean inning, faced 3, struck out 2 of them. Of course, didn't give up any runs. Oh, Ellis on first. Here's Kavares Tiers, who's 0 for 2. A 4-3 ground out, a strikeout in the 5th, walked in the 4th. You know, in the 5th, that was tough, as he saw 3 straight change-ups, off-speed pitches, and there's an off-speed pitch dropped in there by Torres, and the count 0-1. 0-1 pitch, another off-speed pitch, and that's the book on Kavares Tears right now. You do not throw him fastballs because if he connects, he'll put a charge into it. So the breaking stuff, the off-speed, and the lefty Torres fires, and going with a fastball there, looking for the outside corner to the lefty batsman Tears, but he misses outside. The count 1-2. Tears, though, did have a home run yesterday. Crawdads need base runners right now, though. The 1-2 pitch, and this comes in and hits Tears. He was not expecting that. Looked like the catcher was setting up outside and then tried to come back in closer to the inside portion of the plate, and that hit Tears somewhere in the arm as he immediately hit the deck. And see if Tears is okay. He's kind of walking around and he's going to toss the baseball bat. Now he's going to head over to first. So Kavares Tears is okay. It's good that the Crawdads have a couple of base runners on now here in the top of the 8th, trailing by 6, 9-3 Lincoln. But you don't want to see Kavares Tears take a shot up high. Luckily, it did not get him above the collar, but still, that was a fastball that came in hard. He's over at first. Ellis moves to second. Both teams really getting in on the plunking hitters act now, as Duroff fouls a pitch back and the count 0-1. Duroff's last at bat in the 6th, he had a hit, but he was stranded over at first. Had a sacrifice fly for an RBI in the 4th. Walked in the 2nd. The 0-1 pitch, and Duroff swing happy here, being very aggressive. Fouls this away as well, and the count 0-2. And with Duroff, who's got a very good eye, I don't mind that approach. The Crawdads got to figure out a way to get something going offensively, and if it's being aggressive early in the at-bat, so be it. The 0-2 pitch, Duroff fights this off. The count stays 0-2. Just a bit under it there was Brian. Torres takes a look back to second, kicks the leg and deals and misses there. Misses location. They were setting up outside, so Matt Lee was setting up outside. The ball came in, and maybe if Lee's setting up on the inner half of the plate, they might get a strike call there, but because he has to reach the glove out, the mitt with his left hand, it's called a ball on the count 1-2. It's always kind of interesting, the 1-2 pitch, and this misses inside, actually bounces away from Lee momentarily, but the runners have to stay put. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes, but you'll see that occasionally where a catcher will set up way outside and then have to reach back in, or vice versa. And even if it's maybe a questionable or a close area in the zone, they usually don't get the call. But the 2-2 pitch, and Duroff swings and misses. And he is frustrated about that. So Duroff goes down swinging, and here comes Joey Donnelly. Duroff now 1 for 2. Donnelly is 0 for 2 himself, but he was on base a couple of times, hit into a fielder's choice 4-6 in the 2nd, hit by a pitch in the 4th, struck out in the 6th. That was his last at-bat, struck out swinging. A 1 away, and Donnelly picking up right where Duroff left off, swinging at the first pitch, fouls it. The count 0-1. In the top of the 8th here, the Crawdads with a couple of base runners. Trail by 6 runs, but Donnelly needs to find a gap or get on base. This pitch misses low and in. The count even at 1-1. So maybe some wires getting crossed out there between the new catcher, Lee, and the new pitcher, Torres. So you wouldn't think it's a situation of Lee coming in for Poss. It's just not on the same page yet. The 1-1 pitch, and Donnelly gets into this, hits this into left, but that'll stay up there for the left fielder, Tremaine. That's kind of been the way it's gone for Donnelly lately. He's gotten good pitches to hit, but more often than not, they've been right at outfielders. And there's 2 outs now in the top of the 8th. Here is Jack Ben Shoshan. After the fly out to left from Donnelly, Ben Shoshan 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. First pitch to Ben Show misses low and in, and this gets away from Lee. The count 1-0. Pitch. Ben Show hits this on the ground. A little dribbler over to short. Shimizu has it, throws on to second, and it's in time for the covering David. They get Kavara's tears for the 3rd out at second base. So the Crawdads get a couple of runners on, and at one point, a runner on first and at second with nobody out, but then 3 straight unproductive at-bats from the 5, 6, and 7 hitters, and it is still 9-3 Potters heading into the bottom of the 8th inning. See if there's a pitching change for the Crawdads when we return here on the Crawdads streaming network. New pitcher on the mound here in the bottom of the 8th. The Crawdads down in this one. It's 9-3 Lincoln. It's Diamond Loosely taking the mound. So first appearance for Loosely in 9 days. The last time he was in a ball game was July 14th in Healdsburg. That was that 12-0 loss that the Crawdads had to wear against the Packers. He threw an inning, gave up 4 runs, all earned, 4 hits, walked 3, faced 10. Loosely comes in 2-0. He does have a pair of wins. They both happened in his first 2 appearances. 8-6 win against the Potters on July 1st in Danville, and then June 28th against the Mudcats, a 4-3 win, also in Danville. But he's 2-0 with a 10.80 ERA. This is his 5th appearance. He's only thrown 5 innings. He has been knocked around a little bit, most notably by the Packers, as well as the Santa Barbara Foresters back on July 8th. In those 5 innings, he struck out 3, walked 7, giving up 9 hits. So Diamond Loosely called out here. Let's try to get the Crawdads through this bottom of the 8th inning. And even though the odds are stacked against them, anything can happen in the game of baseball. And Crawdads, I'm sure, would just hope that they're down by still 6 runs when they get into the top of the 9th. So Diamond Loosely out there for the Dads, the righty from Hawaii. Nordell's day done. Came in, had to pitch 3 innings in relief of Hollis Fanning, who, we rarely say this, was not able to go deep into a game, only threw 4 innings today. 7 runs were scored on his watch, 5 of them earned. But Nordell came in, he was solid. Gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, both earned. Walked 1, struck out 1, faced 13. He was called on to essentially be the long man. Oh, here is Walden, who takes a big rip here and misses on a ball low. And the count 0-1. Walden flew out in the first, had a 2 RBI double in the second. Hit by a pitch and came around to score in the fourth, and flew out to left in the sixth. Well, he's 1 for 3. And the 0-1 pitch to Walden. There's that slider that loosely features so often. And the count 0-2 as that hits the zone. He left it hanging, but maybe surprising Walden. Loosely has been very accurate with the slider. The slider hasn't been the pitch that's given him issues. It's been locating the fastball. See what the righty does here. 0-2 pitch, and this misses low. And the count of 1-2 strikes. It's Walden, Furry, and Crenshaw, 3, 4, and 5. Tough part of the order that Loosely has to face here. Loosely has a sign from Tejero. The 1-2 pitch, this misses away. Count 2-2. After a couple misses with pitches that are not sliders, you would expect to see Loosely go back to the breaking ball, as that has really been his most effective pitch all season. Loosely set, delivers. There's that slider, and fighting it off was Walden. Just getting a piece of it. This is the first baseman for the Potters. And the count stays 2-2. Coming up tomorrow for the Crawdads. Could be a tough one. Well, it probably will be tough because they're playing the first place team in not only the division but the best team in the league in the Healdsburg Prune Packers. However, the last time those two teams met, Walnut Creek was able to win 11-2. His time is called here by Walden. He's stepping out of the box to readjust the pants, but the Packers will be visiting at 12 p.m. tomorrow in Danville, California. Monte Vista will have that game for you. Austin Oda, young Mr. Oda, going to have the primary call on that. Tune in. 2-2 pitch to Walden, and he goes oppo with this, hits this into left field. And that's a leadoff single here in the bottom of the 8th for JT Walden and the Potters. After tomorrow's game at 12 p.m. on Sunday, Crawdads will have Monday off. And then on Tuesday, July 26th, they'll be on the road at Vanden High School against the Mudcats, then back at home in Monte Vista on the 27th against the Stompers, then up in Healdsburg on Thursday, the 28th, against the Packers at 6 p.m. Pitch misses low and away to Trey Furry. And then the Crawdads will be back here against the Potters at McBean Stadium on Saturday, July 30th at 6:05 p.m. And they finish the season out at Monte Vista and Danville on Sunday, July 31st against the Stompers. That is the rest of the schedule for the Crawdads as the slider is dropped in here for a strike and the count 1-1. You can hear a very vociferous fan of the Potters saying that's a ball, Blue. But my friend, it's a strike. The 1-1 pitch on the way. And this gets through the wickets of Tejero all the way to the backstop. That'll be a wild pitch. Walden advances to second, and Furry ahead 2-1. So I say that the last game will be Sunday, July 31st against the Stompers. But if the Crawdads do need a game to get into the playoffs, and if that ends up being the scenario, they will play that makeup game against the Packers. That'll be, you would think, August 1st. So on a Monday. A 2-1 pitch, and there's a slider that induces a foul tip. into the mitt of Tejero, and the count 2-2. Nobody out, a runner on second. 2-2 pitch upcoming to Trey Furry. Playing third tonight for the Potters. The 2-2, and there's that slider, and it's grounded past the coaching box on the first base side. Now it stays at 2-2. Potters were able to jump out in front from the get-go tonight. A run in the first, 3 in the second, 3 in the fourth, 2 in the seventh. They lead 9-3. The Crawdads getting their 3 runs in the fourth and the fifth innings, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth. Nothing since. Along with those 9 runs, 13 hits, and an error for the Potters. And the 3 runs for the Crawdads attached to 5 hits and an error. And is a balk being called now? And it is. A balk is called on Diamond Loosely. That's the second balk tonight by a Crawdads pitcher. Hollis Fanning had one. He was a starter tonight, and now Loosely has one. So Walden advances to third. Still nobody out. The count was 2-2, but now it's 1-2 on the board. That was indicated by the home plate umpire, so there's a slider that's swung on and missed. Loosely able to recover from the balk and at least get an out here, but Walden is still over at third. Furry, his second strikeout of the night. He is now 2 for 4. Has 3 RBIs, so a very good night for Trey Furry. He now has 35 on the summer, and here comes Garrett Crenshaw. Crenshaw 1 for 3. His hit was all the way back in the first. The first pitch to the lefty Crenshaw, and locating a pitch that's not a slider there. Fastball is Diamond Loosely on the outer half, and the count 0-1. Hope to see all you Crawdads fans out there for the remaining home games. They're definitely going to need your support. The 0-1 pitch, and there's a slider that starts outside, breaks back in, and it's a strike. The count 0-2. You know, if Loosely just find a way to be about, say 60% to 70% accurate with that fastball, that slider could get him a long way. It's a good slider. The 0-2 pitch. And bouncing this one is Loosely. Tejero scrambles to get it. Not running is Walden from third. The count 1-2. You're just tuning in. Tonight's starter for the Dads, Hollis Fanning, not his usual self, only able to go 4 innings. Potters jumped all over him, able to plate 7 runs on his watch. The 1-2 pitch, and there's that slider, but it misses low. Thought about swinging, did Crenshaw, but he held up. And the count 2-2. 2-2 pitch, and Crenshaw hits this hard right above the on-deck man, Nolan McCarthy. He hits into the netting there. A little dangerous here in these on-deck circles. They're very close to the batter's boxes. 2-2 pitch, got him. Slider, swinging. 2 outs now in the bottom of the 8th. Still a runner over at third. So that's back-to-back strikeouts for Diamond Loosely. Walden hit a single. Was able to get on. Then there was a balk from Loosely. pitch misses low. He's all the way on third now. Nolan McCarthy at bat, ahead in the count 1-0. McCarthy has struck out a couple of times, once in the first, once in the sixth, but as he swings and misses here at a pitch high, count 1-1. But sandwiched in between those is a single in the third and a double in the fourth. And this misses. That double, McCarthy was able to drive in a couple of runs as well. A lot of Potters having a good night. 2-1 pitch, and that slider dips low. Count now 3 balls and a strike. Crawdads down by 6. It's 9-3 Lincoln. The 3-1 pitch. And missing outside is loosely. And that's a walk of the number 6 hitter, Nolan McCarthy. Well, they've just had it all going tonight. They have had great plate discipline. They've had timely hitting. They've struck out 8 times, however, they've been able to hit some balls pretty hard. Here's David, and a slider starts inside rather, and looking to break it back over the middle of the plate was loosely, but it just drilled David all the way. That's the second time David has been on base without having to put the ball in play. He does have a hit tonight, but he walked in the second, came around to score, had a hit in the third. Now he's hit by a pitch here in the 8th. The other 2 at bats, a line out to Barnhart, who leapt up the Spirit at third. And here is Cole Tremaine, who is 2 for 4. A couple of singles, a strikeout, bounced out once, and came around to score twice. The bases are loaded with 2 away. Pitch to Tremaine, and he hits the ball foul, but loses the bat very foul. That ends up over the dugout of the Crawdads. That's a scary moment. You just hope that didn't hit anybody near the beer garden area or over near the dugout of the Crawdads. It ended up not eclipsing the dugout roof, and looks like everybody's okay. So it actually bounced off the top of the roofing there on the dugout and fell back into the field. Boy, that's the second time we've seen a bat go flying tonight. Wild swing and a miss there from Cole Tremaine. A 0-1 pitch coming up from Loosely to Tremaine now that he's got some more pine tar on the bat here. Boy, you'd not like to see that. The 0-1 pitch, and there's a slider that misses low, and the count 1-1. Now, that has been the issue that Loosely has run into. He does have that fastball. He also has a changeup, but he's almost a one-pitch pitcher because he's so slider heavy. The 1-1 pitch, and there's a slider that swung on a miss, but then when he locates like that and he fools the hitter, I mean, he just makes guys look awfully foolish up there, and the count 1-2. On deck, Matt Lee. The 1-2 pitch, and there's a slider that just misses low. Looked like it was over the inner half of the plate, but called the ball, and the count 2-2. When the Crawdads come up to bat in the top of the 9th, it'll be Tajero, Barnhart, and Schmidt, 8, 9, and 1. See if there's any pinch hitting done. 2-2 pitch, and there's a fastball that is fouled back. The count stays 2-2. Loosely fires. And this slider misses low and outside, and the count runs full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Every other game now has gone final in the CCL. Arroyo Seco Saints victorious 7-0 against the Academy Barons in Pasadena. Healdsburg won 7-2 against the Stompers. The payoff pitch, and able to frame a strike there is Tejero. A fastball on the outside black. The outside black. And Loosely gets out number 3 there. All 3 outs recorded that inning for Loosely, all via the strikeout. 2 swinging, 1 looking. So it is still 9-3, top of the 9th. Last chances for the Crawdads coming up, who trail by 6. Lincoln on top here. More baseball right around the corner. See if the Crawdads have some magic in them when we return on the Crawdads Streaming Network. Top of the 9th inning. Crawdads down by 6. It is 9-3 Potters. It is 8-9-1 for the Dads. Still Torres on the mound for the Potters. Tejero, Barnhart, and Schmidt. They're going to have to get on base with the Crawdads down big here. If the Crawdads are not able to make a comeback bid here, the Potters will vault into second. The Crawdads will be down in third. Both teams separated by just half a game, with Healdsburg winning tonight. As this pitch comes in, a check swing and a peel down to third. No swing, the count 1-0. But Healdsburg winning tonight now has a 6-game lead on the Crawdads as it stands now. 6.5 against Lincoln. This pitch high and in from Torres. And the count 2-0 to the Crawdads backstop. He is 0 for 4 tonight, is Tejero. Grounded out 4-3, a fly out to left. And a pop out to the second baseman in the 6th. Two-0 pitch to Tejero, and that is right down Main Street. And the count 2-1. 2-1 pitch, and this misses high and in. Tejero making sure that ball doesn't get him. The count 3-1. Crawdads have left 7 runners stranded tonight. That has really been the big issue for them. 3-1 pitch, and this misses just a bit outside. It's a fastball. That's a walk to Tejero. So the Crawdads with a leadoff base runner here in the top of the 9th. Tejero still 0 for 3, but now has a walk, and here comes Joe Barnhart. And out of those 7 runners left on, I think the most egregious was in the 4th when they had the bases loaded. This is fouled back, and the count 0-1. And the bases loaded with one away. And they weren't able to get any runs out of it. They were able to score one run that half inning in the top of the fourth, but that was it. The 0-1 pitch, a check swing from Barnhart. Not called a swing there. The count 1-1. But that's something that manager Brant Cummings has really harped on lately. You cannot have situations with less than 2 outs with the bases loaded and you don't come up with multiple runs. Swing and a miss there from Barnhart. The count 1-2. And it's just plagued this Walnut Creek team ever since that big road trip down south. The 1-2 pitch, Barnhart has to swing at this no matter what, just to make sure he's not punched out looking. He's able to punch it foul, and the count stays 1-2. Barnhart has struck out twice tonight, once looking, once swinging. And he walked in the fourth. He was the run that came around to score. He hits this deep down the right field line, but it lands out of play. Count still 1-2. On deck, Coleman Schmidt, who's 1 for 4 tonight with an RBI double. Crawdads would love to get him up to the plate with nobody out. Barnhart's got to do his job. The 1-2 pitch from Torres, and there's a fastball that just misses outside. Barnhart, fortunate there that he's not rung up, and the count 2-2. Pitch was outside, but a 6-run ball game late. I don't know if you want to take that. The 2-2 pitch, Barnhart swings and misses. And a good fastball from Torres. That was middle for Barnhart. He just missed it. There's one out here now in the top of the ninth. Crawdads with only 2 more outs to play with. And here is Coleman Schmidt. That's the second strikeout now recorded for Torres on the mound. Jake Torres has looked pretty good so far in this relief appearance. This pitch misses far outside, all the way in the lefty batter's box, and the count 1-0. 9-3 Lincoln, but the Crawdads have Tejero over on first. He reached with a walk to lead things off here in the top of the ninth. Schmidt ahead 1-0, the pitch. And this is off the hands very high, somewhere over near the bullpen of the Potters, and that lands foul. Past the fences. The count 1-1. Giving chase were Crenshaw and Walden, but they would have had to run through a fence to get to that pitch after it was hit by Schmidt. Now the count 1-1 with 1 away. Schmidt has been so dynamic this summer for the Crawdads. The 1-1 pitch, and Schmidt hits this down the right field line, but foul once again. Not nearly the same amount of effort there because that ball was hit with a lot more authority. So not the same effort from Crenshaw and Wright or Walden at first. Walden would have had no chance at that. He would have had to run all the way down the line to the fence. But Schmidt will see another pitch to count 1-2. Tejero, not really a threat to steal a bag, just 2 steals this season. The 1-2 pitch, this misses high and outside, almost like a hybrid pitch out there. And the count 2-2. Crawdads are going to have a quick turnaround tomorrow. Got to get on the road and then get up early for a noon ball game against Healdsburg. This pitch is hit into the gap in right center, but making a run on it and going into a dive to make the catch is Nolan McCarthy. What a play there from the center fielder McCarthy, calling off his right fielder Crenshaw and just stretching out to nab that ball, taking extra bases away from Coleman Schmidt for sure. An outstanding play from McCarthy out there in center. He was on his horse, had a long way to go, and now there's 2 outs. That'll be replayed on the Instagram for sure for Lincoln. They're going to dig into the video archives there, going out in a full-out dive. It was Nolan McCarthy. No Jeffrey in center tonight. Jeffrey David, that is. He's over at second, so McCarthy's showing he can get it done too. Pitch here misses away to Tyson Corio on the count 0-1. On a scorebook that goes down as a flyout, but just put a nice star next to that because it was such a great play. 1-0 pitch to the switch hitting Corio, and that's a strike even though it was dropped by Lee in the count 1-1. One pitch to Corio. This bounces up to Lee and gets away from him. Ends up halfway in between Lee, the catcher, and the pitcher, Jake Torres. Torres just comes up to pick it up. DeGero still at first. The count 2 balls and a strike. The Crawdads down to their final out here, down 9-3 in Lincoln on the road. Previous 2 games they played against Lincoln, they have come out on the losing side. A big swing and a miss there from Corio on a pitch outside, and the count 2-2. And now you can hear these Potters fans getting riled up. Hear the cowbells going. Got that Arco Arena feel to it sometimes. And they want the strikeout. That's how they want to win this game. The 2-2 pitch to Corio, and this misses away. Trying to frame it was Lee. It was not close. You're going to hear some jeering from the fans there. At the count, 3 balls and 2 strikes now. Payoff pitch coming up to Tyson Corio with DeGero just off of first. Last strike needed for Torres here to get the Potters into second place. Corio going to try to avoid that fate. The 3-2 pitch, and Corio takes, and that's low. Oh, this game's going to keep going just for a little while longer at least. And Corio draws a walk. DeGero advances to second. Corio now at first. And here comes the number 3 hitter, Ryan Ellis. It seemed like a tense moment there, and that ball just missed low. Corio, even in a 6-run ball game, which the Crawdads trail in, is still going to give you a quality A-B. And Ryan Ellis, who is 2 for 3, going to try to do the same. He flares this into left. Going back as a left fielder into a dive. Tremaine, he's not get it. It kicks up against the wall. The Crawdads are going to score 1 as DeGero rounds third. He crosses home plate. They're going to go for an out at third. Was the relay there? And it was. So the Crawdads get a run, but it doesn't matter. As gunned down, trying to get to third is Tyson Corio. A good relay from Tremaine over to Trey Furry, and that's how today's ball game ends. The Crawdads have now lost 3 in a row to the Lincoln Potters, and it's just been a tough stretch. Oh, DeGero does come around to score there. But Tyson Corio gunned down at third on a good relay from Tremaine over to Furry. Corio tried to slide into third base. The final score tonight, 9-4, Lincoln wins it. Lincoln 9 runs, 13 hits, 1 error. Game started at 6:41. Finishes at 10:05, but the Crawdads, 5 runs, 6 hits, and an error for them. But yeah, just a tough way to go for the Crawdads tonight. Their record drops to 20-18 overall, now 13-13, even at 500 in North Division play. The Potters vault into second place. They are now 29-17, 13-12 in North Division play. They are now in sole possession of second. It's going to be a fight to the end, though. The losing pitcher, Hollis Fanning, He is now 1-3 on the season. He was able to go 4 innings, gave up 10 hits, 7 runs total, 5 of them earned, walked 1, struck out 5, faced 25. Had a decent relief appearance from Nate Nordell, who had to pitch 3 innings, and then Diamond Loosely was able to pitch an inning and get 3 strikeouts, able to leave the bases loaded, but the Crawdads lose. And that's just the way it's been going for the Dads. Perez gets the win. He is now 6-0, a perfect 6-0 this season for the Potters. That is the way this ball game went tonight. The Crawdads got some runs in the 4th, 5th, and in the top of the 9th, but that was all. The Potters, surprisingly, no big flies tonight from either team in a ballpark that plays very small, but they were able to get things started in the 1st with a run. Scored 3 in the 2nd, 3 more in the 4th, and then 2 more insurance runs in the 7th. And that's really all they needed. As they were able to really just, from the get-go, jump all over the Walnut Creek Crawdads and take sole possession of 2nd place. So, once again, the Crawdads lose 9-4 here in Lincoln. That is the 3rd straight loss against the Lincoln Potters. For the Crawdads, they are now 3-4 against Lincoln. They have 1 more game to try to salvage a season split at 4-4 if they do win it. That would be for the Crawdads if the Crawdads win it, and that'll be at McBean Stadium on Saturday, July 30th. So this Crawdads team, with time running out, they are now in 3rd place. They are looking for answers offensively. They did not get the outing they wanted out of Hollis Fanning tonight. And they have really just been in free fall lately. And really, there's a multitude of things you can point to over this stretch, but I think most importantly is runners in scoring position, runners on base, and not able to get the job done. So heading into that top of the 9th, they had left 7 runners on base. They were able to score to 0, but Corio gunned down at 3rd. That's the way the game ends. Crawdads now 2-8 in their last 10 overall. And it has just been really, really tough for the Dads. But they will be back at it tomorrow against 1st place Healdsburg. So a chance to pick up some ground there and get a game back in the standings as it is now in the North Division table. The Crawdads in 3rd place, 6.5 games back of Healdsburg. Lincoln, 6 games back of Healdsburg now in sole possession of 2nd. So a half game separating the Potters and the Crawdads, just like when we came into tonight's matchup, but now the Potters have that half game advantage. So that'll do it here. Game started at 6:41 p.m., finished at 10:05. Final time, a long one, 3 hours and 24 minutes on this July 23rd. The Crawdads fall to 20-18 overall, 13-13. In division play, and once again the victorious Potters 29-17, a great season for them so far, and the Crawdads still have time to salvage things here, but they're going to have to get down to work. They are now 13-12 are the Potters in division play. For Austin Oda, I'm Alon to say we will see you at high noon in Danville, California tomorrow when the Crawdads take on the Healdsburg Prune Packers. Have a good night, everybody.